It is 6:30. And I call this meeting of the Manchester Select Board to order. Brian,
Yes.
Kathy, Becky.
Here.
Kathy.
Here.
Ann's here.
John's here.
Excellent. We start with public comments on non-agenda items. Is there anyone in the room with a public comment on a non-agenda item? Is there anyone online with a public comment on a non-agenda item? It's not strictly chairman's report, but I would like to ask the board if we would consider taking up Lisa Bonneville's request for a longevity bench on Lincoln Street first. This seems like a non-controversial issue, and it is currently scheduled for 10:30 at night.
Works for me.
Works for me too.
10:30, yeah, really?
I hope not, but, Lisa, I think you've made a wonderful packet. I'm sure you have remarks, but you have our support.
Okay.
Feel free to say briefly why.
Okay, well, we had presented 6 years ago on May 10th, probably before that, launched this project, the Longevity Bench Project, with the hope of completing in 2 years, 30 benches. A little optimistic, to say the least. So we're celebrating our 6th year this year, and we have only 4 benches left to go.
You got a lot,
So,
yeah.
number 26, thank you so much. The select board has been wonderfully supportive, and we're very proud to have made this donation, although over 300 donors to in benches to this town. So hopefully people will get out and enjoy them and appreciate them. And we're going to do more to thank our donors this year. We're going to have a thank you on our anniversary date, and then launch a we're going to call it the Bench Walk Challenge, which is going to be, and we'll have new 25 bench brochures and flyers that we'll be handing out here at the town hall and elsewhere, with checkoffs for every bench and for every loop.
Mhm.
And then we'll have a celebration October 20th down in Masconomo Park for people to hand in their flyers. And then we're going to honor them with anyone who's completed all of it. We'll put them in the Longevity Bench Project Hall of Fame. Why not? So they'll have 5 months to complete their visits, and we're also going to lead some walks. We're going to lead walks on each loop between May and October, so people become aware of the location of the benches, and we'll have leaders talking about the trees and talking about the history that we pass in town, and actually checking out the loops.
I have a couple of questions. I think that's a wonderful idea. I was wondering if you were in contact with the Bike and Pet Committee, because they're doing an inventory. One of the things they might be working on is an inventory of the walking paths in town. And it sounds like there would be some mutual interest here.
Sure. No, I will be. We're working with Cheryl at Parks and Rec on this, and also the boosters who are putting on a carnival the weekend of October 18, 19, 20. So we'll share the stage over at the
So if you don't mind, I'd like to make a connection there for you, if you don't mind.
fabulous. I mean, I'm on the ADA committee in town too,
Right.
so I have been talking with them about other things that have to do with the ADA trails and things. But they're on our list to work with
Excellent.
on this. So all of it's good.
Would you like a motion?
Yes.
I move that the select board approve the longevity bench at 40 Lincoln Street with enthusiasm.
Second.
Any further discussion? Brian,
Yes.
Becky,
Absolutely.
Kathy.
Yes.
Ann says yes.
John, yes.
Thank you.
Good.
Yay, Lisa.
If you want to stay,
Could be.
you are certainly
I
welcome.
have been sitting all day, so I will wrap this up
Understand.
and leave. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Morgan, you were supplanted as the first item on our agenda.
For a great cause.
Um, Tell us what it is that makes you an excellent candidate for the Open Space and Recreation Committee.
First, my passion for the outdoors, including all of Cape Ann and just by the sea in particular. Those who know me know I have biked around this town since I've been here, roughly since 1998. First and often with my son, as soon as I could. 6 months old in the trailer, all around town, often to the beach in the summer. And until in 11th grade, he told me, you know, Dad, you don't have to bike to school with me every day. But it's my passion to be outdoors and to protect open space. In addition to that, I was on the Bike and Pedestrian Committee soon after arriving. And I still well connected there. As you may remember, we were on the school committee together for 3 years, ending more than 10 years ago. Went on to the finance committee, and most recently argued, presented an article on the warrant in the fall for my passionate, representing my passionate goal to protect open space in perpetuity.
Are there questions? Becky?
I messed everybody up by moving, didn't I?
Yes.
A little selfish, don't you think?
Well, I think I've got a little bit of time left, so I'm just gonna scoot
Go
over.
on,
here.
Joe.
I'm gonna move all around. Okay, back to, well, first of all, Morgan, thank you very much for putting your hand up for this. With the, and are you still biking to and from Blackburn?
Right, for 30 years, I've biked to work almost every day, including today.
Wow,
Through the winter, I've studded tires for the ice.
excellent. So you know the outdoors well. So my question, I have two. One is, have you, well, three questions. Have you spoken with anybody on the Open Space and Rec Committee?
I have not.
Okay, have you spent any time kind of looking over what it is they do and what their responsibilities are and are not?
Before throwing my hat in the ring, I went online and looked at the major documents, including the most recent one from 21, which I think is 425 pages, has 65 goals in it, 7 of which seem to take priority over the next, whatever, 50-something. And I even noticed ADA came up. The 7th goal is to promoting ADA in open space, which is actually something I spoke about at town meeting.
So in terms of the town and open space and rec, what is it you think that we're doing right or doing well, and where do you feel that we really need to do better? If you have any, I mean,
That's a great question. No, it's a fair and great question. I think we all cherish open space. Manchester has, and many of us moved here to enjoy that open space in many ways, not just to live near it, but for example, to go on walks in the town woods or Powderhouse Hill, as well as the larger tracks off Pine Street and School Street. In general, well, again, at town meeting, we, with help, voted to conserve or reconserve those areas. I think there's plenty of other opportunities. I've been online for various documents, and I don't remember the names of the documents, but there's tables of open space and whether they're protected and how they're protected, and I noticed some gaps. I might come back to town meeting with filling those gaps, for example. I think we do a good job overall, and I also think there's ever increasing pressure on open space.
And my last question is, thank you for answering those two parts. Appreciate that. Do you have the time to put into this?
I will make the time because I have the passion. As you noted, I work very locally. I've been even known when I'm in a rush to show up directly to meetings biking from my, it's my preferred way of getting around in general. Yes, and if compared to the school committee and finance committee, this is honestly not as onerous a burden in any sense. Or
Yep.
the select board, you guys put a lot more time in, so I don't see it as a burden in any case.
Okay. And I remember you and I ran against each other for school committee and you won.
Then I lost to Ann. The next time I lost to Ann by a couple votes or something. Yeah, it was tight.
Well, thank you again. Thank you for stepping up. This
Thanks for your
is
time.
pretty critical.
Does anyone else have?
I just say, yeah, thank you, Morgan. It looks like your interests and your lifestyle fits open space and recreation. In fact, I think it fits better than any of the other ones you've been involved with, but certainly, possibly, I want to welcome you back to helping out with town governance. We haven't voted yet, but.
Yes, thank you for the kind words.
So thank you.
Would you like a motion?
I guess, what do you know about the Western Woods?
They're uphill from where I live. I've sometimes bike and walk through them. I've come out onto Grapevine, and so I've explored them probably as much as most people in town, not everybody, but.
Okay.
uh,
Because one of the things that I believe the Open Space and Rec is currently working on is identifying owners and trying to protect,
I almost brought that up, that's right.
and that's something that Jeff Butler Turner has been working on. And I hope you and he can work together to identify parcels.
That's a great.
Assuming that the rest of us don't decide to throw you out the door.
I look forward to that.
Anyone else? Yes, then I will take a motion.
I move that the select board appoint Morgan Evans to the Open Space and Rec Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Any further discussion? Brian?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John says yes.
Okay, now, thank you very much.
Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you for
Thank you.
your time.
We'll get sworn in.
As usual, I have skipped something. We are supposed to go over our action items. And are there action items? The action items for tonight seem to be on our agenda. Is there anything that needs to be dealt with or is not on the list that anyone can think of?
We do have the wayfinding committee or group that has been meeting. We were supposed to meet tomorrow night, but there was a little mix-up, so we won't be. But should we have that on here?
Report from the Wayfinding Committee. Would you like to do that on the 18th or April Fool's Day?
How about I'm not sure when we actually will be meeting, so I'm not sure the 18th will work.
Okay.
All
We seem to only have one thing on for the 1st of April.
right, let's go to April Fool's Day.
Anything else from anyone else?
Because there are time constraints on that grant. I mean, it's supposed to be done in 4 months. Am I right, Debbie?
I think so, yeah.
So, but we should be okay, I think, with April. And that's, I own that one, I suppose.
Okay. The next item is a request for LGBTQ plus progress flag on the town flagpole in June. And That necessarily includes our making a proclamation recognizing that June is a Human Rights Month. Let someone else be more specific about what that is. Yes,
I'm sorry to do this, but it says that that's supposed to be at 7,
Ah.
and there might not be
That's right. You're right,
people
you're
here,
right, you're
so
right.
I think,
okay. Right, thank you.
I think you can do liaisons
We
and
can do
and
liaisons.
special events perhaps.
Let's see what the liaisons turn up. Brian,
Parks and Rec, the pickleball courts still being discussed. Cheryl does have a number of options as far as the type of screening. And she's just waiting for proposals, as we discussed. Hopefully get the proposals and everything done in time to install before March, which is not going to happen. The fencing will be extended this month, I believe. And then the Parks and Rec will make a decision on which of the sound attenuating screening is best suited. And there are a number of good, I've seen the pictures, there are a number of good options. I don't know if you want to review it before they make a decision.
what do people think?
I think we probably
We need
should.
to.
So I think that's,
Okay.
they'll have to go back to Cheryl on that.
Can they have something for the 18th?
I can ask tomorrow.
Because I hate to see them open with, we're going to see them open with
They're gonna go-
nothing, but at least we should have a path forward.
I'll check with Cheryl tomorrow. Beyond that, I've got nothing.
Okay.
I attended the planning board meeting on the 27th, and they were continuing to decide or discuss driveways and how that would be sort of overseen by DPW. They also discussed the task force open house that they had this Saturday, and the majority of the board felt that was really important to do, and there were a couple members who were not in support of that. But my understanding, it was very well attended, very well and well done. And I watched some of it, and it seemed that people were really appreciative of the information they were presented and began to understand the districts, the overlay districts, and how those work. But John can speak more to that.
Yes. With regard to the Saturday meeting, yes, it was well attended, and in particular, I think, well, a lot of the same folks that you see at some of the other meetings were there, but there were additional people. But what impressed me most, I think, were the questions that came at the end of the presentations. They were not just automatic questions. They were questions that people thought about and said, well, what about this? They had to go the extra step or two to come up with these questions, and I thought they were intelligent questions that were not so obvious. So I know that people are engaged in this topic, no question, or at least the folks there.
Yeah, no, that was very good.
About how many people do you think there were?
Oh, gosh.
70, 60?
I don't think there were that many, maybe 50. But I think, I want to say maybe half to 2/3 were what I would call regulars.
Yeah.
And maybe a third were new faces I hadn't seen at some other meetings. So it's a good start, you know, but out of the thousands of households in Manchester, it's still not enough. So I just think the zoning team, task force is doing a great job trying different ways to
Right.
communicate to people, and we all owe it to them to communicate to our own neighbors, you know. I think they need our help to amplify.
Well, that was one of the aspects of the planning board meeting, was how to present accurate information. And that was what they really were trying to focus on. At least that's what my
Yeah.
takeaway was, that the information to be presented at that meeting was really out of the bylaws, pretty straightforward, and trying to explain it in a way that was digestible.
Let's see, I think the only liaison meeting I've been to is a Bike and Ped, after our last select board meeting where Chief Fitzgerald presented the pilot on the parking enforcement. Connected the Bike and Ped team to the chief so they could help with understanding the installation of, what's a good installation from a pedestrian safety standpoint for the no parking areas, you know, where they're gonna put the safety sticks, how far away from the corner. They have some feedback based on what other towns are doing, so they're just making some connections there. But I think both Bike and Ped and Downtown Improvement were interested in the parking enforcement pilot, and, you know, you know, if there's any help needed that, you know, Greg, the chief needs or whatever, they're very willing to get engaged and help with that. That's it.
Yeah, a couple of things. Historic District Commission met last week, and a presentation was given by the architects for One School Street, which we all know is undergoing a facelift, a serious facelift. And their intention in general is to bring the building back to about 1810.
Really?
There are parts of it that are like 1780. I think the back building is older than the front building. And they have pictures that they have acquired from the Manchester Museum and elsewhere with regard to what it looked like at various times. And there is going to be a retail presence on the first floor. So one thing they are doing is they are looking at all of the windows, the period windows of the early 19th century, and they will be probably 2/2. Right now, I'd say maybe a third of the windows there are 2/2, but a lot of them are like 6/6 or whatever happened to be the flavor of the year when windows were being replaced there. They're going back to 2/2 and then looking very hard at what kind of a picture window goes in there. I saw at least one photo. I really don't know how they made photos in 1820. They had a picture,
Those
anyway.
little bulb thing, you know, with the
So they're looking at that, and we also have to be conscious of how the windows look elsewhere around 2 School Street, 4 School Street, et cetera, so it kind of fits in there, but they're sensitive about the windows. The entire building, and it's actually 2 buildings, as you're probably aware, is going to be returned to clapboards, which is what it was when it started. And furthermore, they are going to install some sort of an awning on the front, which is what that building looked like. Now, I don't know how you get it to stand up in the winters. Of course, the winters in 1820 were not easy either, but they're looking into returning it to having an awning structure on the front. I think in the summer, when the sun sets, the sun's pretty serious coming into that location. So we all drive by that place once or twice a day, and we'll be seeing progress as it moves along, but that's the intention.
Now, he's done this 11th Central, the first building he bought.
Yes,
I mean, he did a great
the
job.
Robardi building, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, I mean, there's no.
So it's the same guys.
Right.
So-
It's like 0 school and 2 union, is that?
I don't even, in the address 1, it's 1 school, right? The corner building? Yeah, which has 13 apartments, but I think 2 are going away because they're going to make a retail on the first floor. with no parking, so I'm not sure how that's gonna work, but that's the plan.
Parking behind town hall?
Yes,
And on the street.
yeah,
And
a
on the
little bit of a
street.
walk,
For 2 hours
so we'll see.
Until 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
until 6 o'clock.
And second, Council on Aging was at a meeting with them, I guess that was last week also. The Golden Agers have a luncheon this coming Saturday and have requested an update with regard to senior center progress, which, as most of you know, is going to be, expected to be an article on our warrant in April. And in fact, I think Greg is going to be there. I think I will be there also. They just want an official update, and we're gonna maybe show them some plans.
Yeah.
Some floor plans, a little blown up sort of thing about this is, it's preliminary, but it was something that we had to put together so that Masons had a feel for how things might fit.
I would like to go to that as well, but if somebody else is planning on it, I won't, so that we don't have quorum.
What time is it?
Lunch is at noon.
I won't be around, I don't think so.
Oh, you go, yeah.
Then I just wanted to make sure we're not.
So, no emergencies in the DPW this week, so.
Good.
That's good.
The school committee hasn't met, we met last because it was school vacation week. The MBTA zoning task force is meeting quite regularly in smaller groups. One group specifically focusing on how to do a design review and standards for a design review organization, be part of site plan. And there are lots of open questions. Currently, you get to require a site plan review, you have to have a plan that includes 5 parking spaces. And there's feeling on the committee, I think, that anyone who's taking advantage, assuming that such a thing were to exist, anyone who is taking advantage of a zoning overlay district for MBTA zoning would be subject to site plan review and design review. So, and we have a group of very talented and very opinionated architects who are working on this problem. And it's an interesting problem keeping them focused. But they are in fact coming up with really good ideas, because the challenge of a design review in Manchester is that what makes Manchester special is that it's all different. So how do you establish design standards when the goal is to make them all different? And there turn out to probably be answers to that, and I think we've got the right group together to find those answers. As for the other job of the main job of the task force, we're continue to look at areas of town. We have looked at, I think, all areas of town, and we've discussed everything that I can think of. And one of the ideas that's coming out is that many people on the task force are concerned that if we take large parcels, we will get large developments. A 2-acre parcel would have a 30-unit apartment building built on it. And that concerns us and the other side of that is that to keep the development small, we would prefer to have them in areas where there are already small lots, which means dense areas. So are we penalizing the people who live in dense areas, or are we protecting the town from large developments? And that's a tough question, and we are struggling with it. It's almost 7 o'clock. Shall we consider the special events permit? Are there questions on the special events permits?
No.
That's too bad, because we have 2 minutes.
6:59, I think we'll be there.
Okay. Shall we approve is there a motion to approve the special events permits?
So moved.
Second.
Ryan,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John, yes?
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you.
We're good, it's 7:00.
She was gonna sit a long time.
She was ready, especially after that last one.
I think anyone who arrives a minute or late should be able to catch up. So the next is a request for a progress flag on the town flagpole in June.
I think it's over here.
Is this going to be, is this both the progress flag and the human rights together?
I just did it in succession on one.
I'm just asking.
This will be the first time.
Okay, is it possible that we could discuss the progress flag separately? Because on our agenda, they are two separate items.
Oh, no, absolutely. I just did it in one and I'll just stop.
Okay,
That's good.
because we've got other,
Where's the,
The alternative for the presentation is for you to log in on the Zoom and then
Just
share
share
a
it.
screen. It would be better for the people who are at home to see your presentation if you did it through the Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, because they can see it.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
if you can go on Zoom, hope this is,
If you just go to the town.
go to the town
webpage.
website.
What's your,
wireless password?
no, what is,
The guest, there should be a guest one.
Let's get Debbie's password.
Manchester, is it that one?
Manchester, right there.
Oh,
Manchester by the sea
that makes
guest.
sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now on the website.
Oh, you said go into the main.
Well, it doesn't, I mean.
Yeah, that's better. That's
Yeah, you
easier.
can just
or
get
if
it
you
right
just want to go to Zoom,
Yeah,
here's
she's
the
going, she's pulling it out on the website.
information.
Unless you're very good at typing a bunch of random numbers and letters.
Yeah, I know, it's a lot of
Much
fun.
easier to click on it.
Yeah.
I think. I just, let's see. MA, yep,
Two.
yep, that's right, it's the top one.
Okay.
And go into government. Agendas and minutes. Scroll down to select one, right there.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Just click again, just once, just once.
This one?
Yep, you should be able to click right on that link. Launch meeting.
Recording in progress.
Now, let me share screen.
You might want to get rid of your,
You need to disconnect.
yeah, we'll disconnect this, and then you can, and you gotta turn down your volume.
Or mute.
Yeah, mute it.
What did they want here? Okay. Yeah, we
There it is, it's here.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for passing everything I've asked for now because I got on. Only kidding.
I'll let Lisa, like, just hit it when I. Either one.
Okay.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Hope Labucci. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a Manchester resident. I reside in my childhood home here in Manchester. I'm a veteran. I'm a two-time past commander of the American Legion here in Manchester by the Sea. And I'm also the founder and president of North Shore Pride. And so tonight I'm asking for approval, as we have done in three consecutive years, to raise the progress flag being the most current flag of the LGBTQ plus community. And I'm here this evening, with my wife, Lisa Wabuchi. And we're asking to raise it on the same flagpole that we've raised it on for 3 years consecutively. And so if you can hit. Okay. The reason that we do this, for people who haven't heard of Next Benedict, a 16-year-old non-binary trans student in Owasso, Colorado, recently assaulted in the bathroom of the school, which was on an Indian reservation, because of the way that they were dressed, because they're non-binary. And the next day, Next lost their life. And so that's the reason why I started North Shore Pride, was because of hate crimes and against our community here. And we know that legislative hate crimes are going up exponentially, being proposed exponentially, and passing exponentially. The rights of our trans community are being revoked. The rights of our LGBTQ plus youth are being revoked. And so that is why we raised the progress flag, in honor of people like Next Benedict, in honor of our youth, in honor of our community, and to make people aware that when we raise the progress flag in towns and cities across this country, as well as in other countries, what the message we're sending is, we're accepting of you. We're a town that's welcoming, a town or city that's welcoming of your community, and that you are welcome here. So, next please. So what I'm asking for is to raise the flag on June 1st of this year, which I believe is a Saturday this year. We would do, just in terms of the program, what it would look like. We would do a land acknowledgement for Manchester. We would ask that the Manchester Essex High School GSA, or the equivalent thereof, those students would raise the flag, or we would invite them to come and raise the flag. And we would encourage tabling by the now new, revised, whatever we're calling it, Manchester Cultural Council, as well as the Welcoming Committee, of which I'm a member of that committee from Manchester. And we would also encourage a campaign Proud to Support by our local businesses. So we would provide them with progress flag stickers to put on the windows of their businesses to let the community, our community, know that they are a welcoming business for our community. And if you want to do the research and see how much money our community spends in towns and cities, we're pretty high up there. So we would do that to promote our community visiting those businesses. We do it in other towns and cities throughout the North Shore, as well as throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So that's what it would look like. Is that it? Yeah, is that good for that? Yeah. For that, don't shut down.
No.
Okay. So that's what I'm asking for this evening. As a member, as a resident of this town, as well as the founder and president of North Shore Pride Incorporated, a nonprofit organization which has been in existence for now, it's our 13th year. Last year at a big festival and parade in Salem, we had 30,000 people in attendance. So that's my request. I appreciate your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
No, I just might make a comment, and about a year ago, or a little less than that, this flag is going up, of course, on the memorial, or the town flagpole, quote unquote, that is in the memorial. And last year, the select board decided that it would not put up a second flagpole, that the flag would go up on the current flagpole, and I am 100% behind flying the pride flag. However, my first choice is to erect another flagpole elsewhere on the common on which the pride flag and other commemorative flags, should they come down the pipe, be flown. I've kept track of what's been going on with regard to flagpoles in communities in Massachusetts over the past 2 or 3 years since the Boston case. And there are about 14 or 15 communities, of which we are one, that have put together policies specifically for flags. 3 or 4 of those communities said, we're not dealing with commemorative flags. We're just not flying any. There are another 3 or 4 that said, yeah, we're flying commemorative flags, and as you're probably aware, or most of us are, I think, it must be considered government speech before you can fly them. Those flags, they just don't say exactly where they are flown, on what flagpoles. But about half, maybe a little bit more than half of those communities have said, yes, we fly commemorative flags on flagpoles that the United States flag does not fly on. And that's the position that I take. I think we should do that and put a flagpole somewhere and do that. We're kind of in a more difficult position because of the law of unintended consequences. We had a town flagpole and it became a memorial flagpole. And we didn't really think about that, but that's what happened several years ago. And so our town flagpole became part of the memorial.
Becky,
Okay.
Becky was on the board at the time that happened.
Okay, yes.
And that is actually not quite what happened, because it was discussed that the flagpole was going on the town common, on town property. It is the town flagpole. And so it was done with knowing that we might have other flags being requested to be flown. So just to modify that a little bit, it was never designated to be just the memorial flag pole. That it's on town property. We discussed this. And again, the town common. My feeling is, since we're kind of talking about that a little bit, and this is a proclamation that we are looking to approve that would therefore enable another flag to be flown. I would like to think that when we talk about, and I come from a long military family. My father's a veteran, my brother's a veteran, my husband's a veteran. When someone goes to fight for freedom, I would hope that what they're fighting for is freedom for everybody. Not this person, not that person, definitely not those. Isn't that what we're about in this country? And so the flagpole was erected on town property and the town common. And if we start putting up a separate flagpole, we're separating what we as a community and a country stand for. I mean, that's not that we're going to put every single flag up there. We have a proclamation process. The pride flag has been flown for some time now. We have a precedence there for that. And anyway, thank you.
Thank you. And you'll notice all the local community towns and cities that already have their progress flag flying schedule and approved.
Well, and many of those are on the list that have put together flag policies. There are a number, they don't have flag policies, they just put up the flag. I'm just saying there'll be more and more towns that will kind of wrestle with this commemorative flags versus US flags. And my position is I just think the US flag should be on a separate flagpole. That's all. I have no problem with other flags being on other flags pole, in particular the gay pride flag. The Pride Month flag, I think, I certainly endorse that it should be flown somewhere here on town common. No
So should
question.
we move the
For-
POW flag? If it's
Pardon me?
just for the,
No, the POW flag, I think, goes up with the US flag, that's it. I wouldn't, that's there.
I am going to take comments from the board until the board is tired of speaking, and then I will recognize other people. Go ahead.
I'm just repeating things I've said in the past. I'm reluctant to use the flagpole for anything other than a municipal flag. It's got nothing to do with any one particular cause, but I think it's a slippery slope and it opens up the door. And you know, the other problem, the other side of that is I'm also reluctant to turn town hall into a forest of
Flagpoles.
flagpoles. Okay, I think that the precedent has been set,
Mhm.
but just my feelings is that municipal flags, state, you know, federal, state, municipal flags should be on things flying on, because the town hall it should be, might be offended by something, okay?
And we have, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we do make a proclamation,
I understand.
and in the past, I think it has been unanimously approved.
Yes, and
So-
you know, I have the last two votes, I think the last one vote I was on, I voted for it.
Mhm.
I'm just, you know, as long as John's mentioning his feelings, that's my feeling. I'm just reluctant to, you know, that's my feeling.
so to whom does the land belong? The land on which the current flagpole stands? All the people.
To people of Manchester,
That's right.
12 months a year.
okay? And I just, and again, this is not about the progress flag. This is about all flags, okay? I just think that to start using town property as an advertisement vehicle,
Oh.
and I thought that,
Uh-oh.
no, I'm just saying, okay?
You may sit down.
Perhaps, I'm sorry if that word offended you, but
Wow.
it's okay for every group that wants to fly a flag.
We have a protocol for that.
I understand. I'm just saying, you asked me my opinion.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Nothing.
Sounds like the exact same conversation we had last year.
Mhm.
I like the progress flag where it is, on the same pole. I'm good with that. It's town property, not the property of a memorial, to the best of my understanding. If someone wants to correct me on that, and some other group in town owns the land that that flagpole is on, I will revisit my position. But if that is town property, and we have a process for approving flags, we follow the process, we get the proclamation approved, put the flag up, I'm good with that.
And I generally concur, but I'm willing to hear from anyone. I'll take people in the room first. We do have a schedule, and so I would ask people to be brief. Yes, and stand up, identify yourself.
Bruce Heisey, 49 Pleasant Street in Manchester, part of the committee to erect the Veterans Honor Roll, for the sole purpose of dedicating a flag and a POW flag to the veterans from the town of Manchester. And that was the sole purpose of donation, when we had our donation to the town, that this flag pole is paid by a family member for the purpose of the Veterans Honor Roll. And so, and the current flagpole is not suitable, is not tall enough to support 3 flags. So you cannot lower the flag at a half mast, half staff, because the beads are hitting the lights. That's why the lights have been out for the last 3 or 4 months, They're not working. They've been breaking the wires around the support over the light. So there's a lot of things wrong with flying in 3 flags. And so I am not against the gay pride flag at all. And the committee is not, but it's just not on the Veterans Honor Roll. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for doing that. Yes,
John Sacco, 48 Pleasant Street. I'm certainly not opposed to the pride flag. I sent an email to the board, I hope you received it.
Mhm.
And I agree that I think the town should erect another flagpole, or I've seen in other places, flag staffs that would be on the columns, which would give many groups a chance to use that. I do not believe that any other flag other than what you discussed should be flown on with the American flag. It shouldn't just, and if you want to look up, one of the best sites to look at is under the Department of the Army Institute of Heraldry, 840-10, and it'll give you regulations about flying the flag. And I just not opposed at all. And in my email, I think a flagpole on the town common or flag staffs on the columns of the town hall would be a good venue to view them. And I think it would encourage other groups, like, there's some great groups in town, conservation, the school, that should be recognized for scholastic achievements, women's sports, and put a flag on a column, on the flag staff. And also I did mention, maybe the town would consider putting a flagpole at Masconomo Park. It would be a beautiful place for it, either by the statue or the bandstand or somewhere visible.
thank you.
And
Becky,
who pays for the electricity?
Yeah, that's through the town.
anyone else want to speak in the room? Yes.
Hi, Kim Kahan, 12 North Street.
Mhm.
Could you please tell me what this flag is? Everything, what does it represent?
It's a progress flag.
Well, I know what it is. I would like you to tell everyone exactly what all the lines is and who is included on this flag. Is
Point of
maps
order.
included?
Just,
Wait a
I,
minute.
Point of
you
order.
know, I am running this meeting,
Okay,
you
I
are not.
just was, okay,
And-
sorry.
Your information, you can get your information elsewhere unless you can explain to us why you think that information is germane to our decision.
I don't think everyone knows exactly what that flag means.
Okay,
And can I ask one
you
question?
know, let me poll the board. Do you know what that flag means, Brian?
Yes.
Becky?
Yeah.
Kathy?
Yes.
I do,
Yeah,
and John does. So we are the ones who are making a decision tonight.
Excellent.
So we do understand that flag.
Okay.
Now you may proceed.
Could you tell me what the flag means? Because I don't.
Include maps.
Does it include the maps, MAPS? Could you please tell me? Because from what I know about the flag, MAPS is in the flag. So that's my understanding, and you said you understood the flag?
Part is it the purple circle?
Well, I'm asking them. Since they're putting the flag up, they should know what it stands for. And who is included in that flag? A minor attracted people included in the flag.
Or do you want me to speak?
I think you could give it to us more precisely than,
The progress flag is the current flag reflective of the LGBTQ plus
okay.
community.
I think the question really is minor attracted persons.
The purple circle within that flag is for intersex community. The white, blue, and pink represents the trans community, transgender community, excuse me. The brown and the black represent the BIPOC LGBTQ plus community, so Black, Indigenous, people of color. And then the red, that's supposed to be orange, doesn't translate very well on the screen. Yellow, green, blue, and purple are taken from the original flag that was established in 1976.
So you are an expert on this.
Oh, I wouldn't say expert, but yeah.
Is any of that, does any of that include minor attracted persons?
I don't know what a minor attracted person is. I don't know what you mean by, I don't know what you mean by that.
I never heard that either.
Are pedophiles included on that? Is that what
I
you're
mean,
asking me?
you could just look up maps, that's all
Are
I'm
you
asking.
asking me are pedophiles?
No, we were having a
kind of
we're having a
going
conversation
with
between,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Would anyone else like to speak?
One
Yes.
more question?
Sure.
So back to Becky's question about who's paying for the electricity. Well, the Veterans Honor Roll Committee has paid for the extra bordering around and the lights damaged that were hit by the town hall, and also the extra names that were added on the honor roll. So they're still paying for that stuff.
Okay, and then the town maintains the.
No, actually, Dave McDougal's been doing the town, doing the repair work in there.
I mean,
grass-
on the,
And the grass cutting and the trimming around the
And the
new growth that
trimming.
you have in the trees, so Dave McDougal's been doing all that.
Bruce always does it to Mason Masonic Hall too.
Is there anyone not in,
I know Dave.
Yeah.
is there anyone not in the room who would like to speak?
I don't see any.
Crystal Condakes.
Dacus.
Okay?
Hi, yes. I'm Crystal Kandakis. I live at 3 Moses Hill Road. And I just wanted to speak for the young people of our town. I'm the parent of a gay daughter. We have lived here for 20 plus years, and I was actually active in helping Hope get the flag raised initially in 2018. And I just wanted to say how special it makes me and my daughter and our whole family feel during the month of June when we drive by and see the pride or the progress flag flying. It makes me well up with tears sometimes. It's so important to us. And I think it really says a lot about our town and our community to other communities and other people. And I hope the board will take that into consideration and making this decision tonight and moving forward also. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, okay,
Yeah,
Mr.
I would like to see a separate poll, and I think it would be just as special or more special for groups that wish to fly that, a banner or a flag.
Thank you.
I also had a comment.
Yes,
About Dax, she mentioned Dax, the boy who killed himself. Next.
His name was,
Okay, so I apologize for the name, but I have been following that case. The children didn't kill him, he committed suicide.
excuse me, you're way out of line.
I'm sorry,
For this discussion.
I'm very sorry. I was just setting this record straight.
I think what, Ms. Watt, yeah.
I just want to say that
No,
also.
don't, let me reiterate what I think you said, which was
No,
that
I'm
he
just
was
gonna
attacked.
comment.
He was attacked in the bathroom, that they were attacked in the bathroom and died the next day.
Later died.
You did not say,
That's correct. I did not, but that's not what I was going to speak
Okay.
to. But
Sure.
I just wanted to say that I'm also an active duty Army veteran, United States Army veteran, and I've flown 3 flags on my flagpole continuously. So just want to comment. And I know the rules of flag flying.
is there anyone else in the room who would like to be heard?
Brian had a very good point at your home, or?
No, you do not get to cross-question people. You address it to me, and then I will pass your question on.
She
And you
just
have to,
explained.
first, you have to explain, give me your name and your address.
Dominic Maruzzi, 26 School Street,
Thank you.
Manchester by the Sea.
Excellent. Now,
All right. Can you clarify, you've been flying 3 flags?
That's not.
I imagine that's American, right? And then LGBTQ flag, is that at your home or at a Army base. She
no,
was
okay.
just saying she has
She,
knowledge of doing that.
let me just say, we're trying to decide, oh, damn.
And if I could just interject here, the way that an open meeting such as this runs, we have bylaws and
Yep.
rules to which we must adhere. Comments go through the chair to the chair, and then if somebody has a question for somebody in the room, the question is directed to the chair, who will then
All right.
get the question answered.
And I guess I would ask the board, did you consider what Hope flies at her home to be germane to this discussion?
No.
No,
Thank you. Are there any other?
Mike Shaw, 12 North Street. Why does it have to be on that pole? Why can't there be another pole erected like Brian said, like this gentleman said? And she seems to get very upset when you say it flies any place but the town.
That's out of order.
What's
I-
that?
no, most of what you said is fine and interesting. The reaction of another person in the audience is not germane to this discussion. So,
Well, she
your
seems to be upset at the fact that
I don't
we
care,
don't like what she wants to do with the flagpole.
and you don't like what she wants to do, and fine. I don't think her,
Everyone's coming up with, everyone has come up with a good idea, a separate flagpole, not flying with the American flag in the town hall,
thank you.
and
We
someone
we
doesn't
have
want
to
to bend on it.
we have
Everybody else
order.
seems to want
Just
to
a
bend on
moment.
it.
We have considered a separate flagpole, I think twice in the past 2
And
years.
that's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda, and we have, in the previous discussions, not found a reasonable place. We have turned down all of the board has turned down all of the suggestions for another pole.
For any of a number of reasons.
For many of, so this is not a new topic. We have one pole.
What month would I be able to fly my nice Christian flag?
Any month that you can convince us that that's a core value of the town.
The pride flag is the core value of a town, or is it?
Yes,
So we're
because
not a
we're
Christian town, we're LGBTQ plus town.
we are putting together we will put together a proclamation recognizing June as Progress Month.
There's only 12 months in a year.
We
I mean,
can,
you get,
there's no
like-
reason
Like
why,
we've discussed different flags, I mean, there's gonna be different people wanting different flags.
Mhm.
There's only 12 months in a year.
Mhm.
They get a whole month to get their flag out. And we have to fight to maybe see a Christian flag somewhere, or,
she had to fight to put her flag up, and it was not easy. The first year was difficult.
I
And yes,
might comment.
Sure.
Yeah, but based upon what happened with the Supreme Court decision, you cannot put up flags associated with political affiliations. You cannot put up flags that are associated with advertising, and you cannot put up religious flags. So
why we-
anything else, and it still leaves a lot of real estate.
It's
Other things are legitimate, but those, the Supreme Court has said, that this is a church-state thing when it comes to religious flags.
Some would say it's a
That's all
religion.
the
Yeah,
all the
well-
reason I have a flag in a different area.
That's right.
So it's,
yes, Mr. Sacco.
What areas are not acceptable, like on the town common for another pole? I mean, there's many, I would say areas that are large enough to put a pole around, out near the
We're not-
fountain.
That's not the discussion we're having tonight. We've discussed putting another pole up, and we have not found a place that we were willing to agree to.
And if I may, Madam Chair, because it's not on the agenda, we cannot discuss that. We cannot, that's not what we're discussing tonight. And that is how the bylaws run. We
And
cannot
Madam Chair, one
discuss a
question.
flagpole.
Where have these places been that you have, that you have sent on?
Ms. Jakes is absolutely correct, and I have been remiss in allowing discussion of the second poll.
So if I may,
Yes,
if the board feels that they want to revisit, obviously, the second poll question, then you could certainly put that on a subsequent agenda.
yes.
Sure.
Okay,
May I make a motion?
I've been very liberal, people have spoken many times. I think we have heard, yes, you may make a motion.
Okay. I move that the Select Board proclaim the month of June as LGBTQ month, LGBTQ plus month. Does the plus go there? Okay.
Thank you.
In the town of Manchester by the Sea, and sign a proclamation to be presented on June 1st.
Second.
Okay. Brian,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Carolyn,
Yes.
yes. Okay, that's the proclamation. The next question, is there a motion about the flag?
I think that
Okay, you think that covers it?
that covers it, yes. You can't fly a flag until you get a proclamation.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate to do a
We have,
separate.
we have a proclamation. Now, is there a motion to fly the flag on the town common flagpole? The progress flag on the town common flagpole.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Brian,
In keeping with the flag policy, yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Anne says yes.
I say yes.
Okay. Thank you all for your time and your comments. Not all decisions are easy, and this is one that's not, but it has been made. Thank you. Okay, now we go on to the question, which is also yours, this is a larger discussion of town committees. I think we should make you sit for another moment and take up the question of the governance project's desire of recommendation that the town get the number of independent committees under control. And I think I'd like Greg to start his discussion.
Sure, so we have a large number of committees. We have over 200 resident volunteering, which is great, large representation. But we have a number of committees that have either finished their work and really are no longer needed, or that they've been inactive for the last few years, and probably indicates that we don't need that committee any longer. So there are three committees that I believe I would be comfortable recommending that you terminate, that we don't need anymore. The Animal Control Committee, which has been inactive for a number of years now. We have not had people volunteering to serve on that committee. I don't think we have suffered from the lack of that committee. You serve as the hearing officers for any animal complaints anyways, even with an animal control committee. And so I believe that's one committee that can be eliminated. You've talked about the Manchester Energy Efficiency Program in the past and have felt that they finished up their work. You could just confirm your discussions in the past to formally end that committee as well. Its work can be picked up by the Sustainability Committee. And then a third committee, the House Numbering Committee. I believe that can be a staff function with the town clerk, the assessors, and the police department, which is where the advice and decision-making has been in the last few years. So those are three committees that I believe make sense to remove. And then moving on, there are a couple of committees that I believe could be made advisory, made less formal, and become advisory to department leaders, so that, so under state law, if a department leader wishes to have some input from residents, but really is making the decision on his or her own, then you can go to this more informal approach, where it's advisory to a department leader and therefore not subject to the full requirements of open meeting law in terms of posting agendas, making minutes. It's a less formal arrangement. And so two that come to mind for this are the Seaside One Committee. Again, it could become advisory to DPW for facilities manager, Nate DeRosa. And similarly, the ADA Committee could become a less formal and advisory to the facility manager in DPW. So those are two possibilities there. And then there are the possibility of having subcommittees transfer to becoming subcommittees as part of a larger committee. And again, this in an effort to streamline some of the communications and the work of those subcommittees. So instead of having, for example, the first one, the Tobacco Woods Committee as a standalone committee, it could become a subcommittee of either the Open Space Committee or Park and Rec. So the sort of chain of command would go that if it becomes a subcommittee, it would report to the full committee, and then any recommendations from the full committee then would come to you. And so it just provides a little more communications and coordination of that committee work. And so 3 possibilities here, as I just said, the Tobacco Woods, 4th of July Committee could become a subcommittee of Park and Rec, and the Stream Team could be a subcommittee of the Conservation Commission.
When you make something a subcommittee, how does the appointment work?
So typically, the umbrella committee makes the appointments to the subcommittee.
Okay, so we would, okay.
Yes. So that would relieve you of some appointment responsibilities.
Yes, John?
So I have a question. So are subcommittee members also committee members?
Not necessarily.
They're not carved out necessarily?
At least one needs to be a member of the bigger committee, but the subcommittees can be comprised of non-mother committee, if I can use that phrase.
So those people that they would be appointed by the committee members?
Yes.
And we wouldn't be involved in that? They
Correct.
would be, whatever their criteria are,
Right.
they would do that. And the advisory groups, and I had a little problem with the definition of all of these things.
Yeah.
The advisory groups are groups that advise departments, not committees.
Correct.
Okay, so that's directly to one of
A
the
department head, yes.
one of the department heads.
Yes.
Okay.
Or a key staff member, but yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a handle on, I mean, the objective here is to streamline things. And the other one is, can we shrink things down a little bit?
Right.
Because we have too many spaces and not necessarily enough people to fill them.
If I can add a little
Please.
color to this, because I did the first pass and made some recommendations to Greg. And committees that were kind of flagged for me are committees that, like you talked about animal control. I looked through all of the minutes and all of the agendas. They hadn't met in 5 years,
Yeah.
right? So other opportunities like the advisory groups, if we could make some of these committees advisory groups, you eliminate the town clerk from getting involved in their process of posting their meetings, posting their minutes, chasing them down if they haven't posted their minutes. You know, it's an administrative task and pull on the town clerk's office. And so where it makes sense to have an advisory group, because if these committees are really talking to Chuck all the time or Nate, then they really should be an advisory group to that function. And then that eliminates the town clerk's office from having to, you know, chase after them and for all of the open meeting law type stuff.
If they're not quasi judicial,
Right,
then
they
that
don't make
completely-
decisions, they're advising.
Right,
you
and
know.
that, yeah.
So who appoints the advisors?
Should be the lead,
So it would be
Staff
Nate,
person.
the staff person would select the people he wants to advise. Okay.
So just to be clear, on an advisory role, there is no, the town staff is not involved to the extent of posting.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So we're eliminating a lot of the work, and they're also not, open meeting is not an issue at that point. So it seems like we get a lot more done with a lot less, oversight, a lot less
Now,
stress.
you know, I would still advocate that for the advisory groups, that there be an open, you know, posting process to get people, you know, onto those advisory groups from a wide path. But what we want to not
Soliciting-
have,
soliciting
solicit members, right?
Right.
The volunteers, we want to make sure people are welcome to participate, but it's all of that bureaucracy around the town clerk's office, you know, publishing the minutes and posting the meetings and rescheduling meetings if someone forgot to post the meeting, and it takes a lot of time.
So those advisory groups, they're not part of that picture, as Kathy has just described. You've got two that you put in that category.
Now,
Yeah, there may be a few more.
There may be a few more.
All right, this is an opening pass.
so I have a question.
I was gonna go slowly.
Yeah.
Becky, when we talk about, for example, task force, which is advisory.
Task force, we
Is
had a different definition for that because it was more of a project. It has a defined beginning
Okay.
and an
I
end.
just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure because those are meetings which should be
Oh, yes, yeah.
following open meeting law.
Yeah, these ones that we had recommended be converted to advisory, we're not recommending they become task forces because they don't have a defined beginning and defined end. It's not a project related, they're ongoing.
It's ongoing.
Yeah.
So I had a question. How come Parks and Rec Department is under one category and Parks and Rec Committee is under another?
In this,
Yeah. I understand, it's tough to take some of these groups and put them in categories.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I'm looking at.
Parks and Rec, under your first slide, community
These are
development.
not my slides, so.
Oh, they are?
Oh.
No, hang on.
They came off the governance.
Yeah, Susan.
Susan's.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because it has it under community development / planning.
Oh, these were,
Oh, I see, these
yeah,
are
these,
groupings.
The groupings, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, no, these were groupings to help these committees understand who is like them that they may want to communicate with more
okay.
frequently. That was the purpose of these slides.
okay, that explains why the select board didn't make the list.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Nobody wants to
Nobody
talk
wants
that.
I wanted something to show like something that had all
Okay.
the committees.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Further discussion right, I just had it, of the committees that Greg listed. I'd suggest that we have 3 separate motions. One for the Animal Control, Manchester Energy Efficiency, and the House Numbering Committee to eliminate them.
I move to retire. I like the word retire.
Retire,
Yeah.
that's a good one. I was struggling to come up with a better word. Thank you.
I move to retire the Animal Control Committee, Manchester Energy Efficiency Program Committee, and House Numbering Committee with the great thanks of the Select Board for their service.
Second.
Further discussion? John?
Yes.
Ann says yes.
Yes.
Kathy says yes.
Yes.
Becky says yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion for Seaside One and ADA to become advisory boards to the facility manager?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Brian?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Ann says yes.
John says yes.
Is there a motion to move the Chabaco Woods, the 4th of July, and the Stream Team groups to become subcommittees of respectively Open Space, Parks and Rec, and Concom? That is to say, Chabaco Woods becomes a subcommittee of Open Space. 4th of July becomes a subcommittee of Parks and Rec, and the Stream Team becomes a subcommittee of the Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Brian?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John says yes.
Okay.
Just a quick question. I don't wonder if any of you know, those last 3 groups just became subcommittees.
Mhm.
Is there at least one person from each of the committees to which they've been assigned that's on those?
We've got Morgan here.
I don't know. No, that's true.
Welcome to the club.
There are the questions.
So, I am sure that the
And
4th
Hope's
of
here,
July
right?
I like
committee,
July 4th.
July 4th is right here.
And Cheryl.
Cheryl's on both.
Cheryl's on both?
Yes.
Okay,
So that's good.
just asking, so, I mean, I'm not
Yes.
saying halfway
I
there.
think there
but-
may be some logistics involved, and I would, Debbie is the process owner for communicating to our boards and committees. But in this situation, Greg, how would you like the communication? Because this is different than a standard communication that Debbie would normally send out. How would you like the communication to go to these various committees, the decisions that we just made?
It would be appropriate for me
Okay.
and/or Ann to do a joint. We might do a joint letter.
And in the letter, we will include what I left out of the motions, which is that we appreciate the work that they're doing and hope that
That
they
was
will
on the
continue.
first one, yes. Oh, yes, on the second one, yes, absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Now, the second part of the discussion of needed committees and request to establish a human rights committee, only, no, never mind. So, this is, you,
So
the second
speaking of
half.
decreasing committees, I'm here to ask you to consider adding a committee or whatever you so decide. The human rights, I just gave you a brief definition of human rights, and then we'll move this forward. Great. I just wanted to give you examples of our towns and cities in our community that actually have town-sanctioned human rights commissions or committees or councils. So, and you can see their mission and their goal. They're all pretty much the same. So Ipswich has one.
I appreciate your moving through
Yep,
this quickly.
Very
because we're-
quickly. Beverly has one. Go ahead, Lee. Danvers has a very extensive one. Go ahead. Gloucester has a human rights commission. And they involve their students as well in the high school. Hamilton Wenham has a combined human rights commission. Go ahead. Salem has a human rights commission. And then a list of all the committees that we have. I just went through and the second page, that list.
Yeah.
So I just went through and just to check to see if we have anything that equivocates to a human rights commission, and we don't. So tonight, that is my ask. I'm happy to discuss. For the sake of time,
Thank you.
I'll sit down.
Are there questions from the board?
I have some.
Okay, I always go first, I'll let you.
No, thanks. So as you can see, we just went through a process.
I know.
For trying to I guess I call it, get our arms around the committees and all of the great volunteers that we have. And one of the things I learned from going through that process is how many volunteers we have in town, more volunteers than town employees. So as we went through the decision-making process for our recommendations, one of the things we looked for were very clear charters for the committees and a way of determining whether or not the committees are achieving their goals. So in other words, if we were to set up a human rights committee, what does success look like? How could we tell if it's working? And do you have any specific objectives that you could articulate? What problem are we trying to solve? I think that's what would be helpful.
I think you'll see it in the definition of all the other missions there, but basically it would, in my thought would be that it would, the process might be that we get together like-minded individuals. Typically, in other towns and cities, the Human Rights Commission or councils are represented by faith leaders in our community, by school employees, people who sit on school boards or whatever, to come together, and people like myself who sit on a Pride organization and other organizations, and come together and make sure that there's equity and inclusion in the town programming and town events. For example, Black History Month might be one example. I can think of a million other examples, but come together and present programming and things like that for the town, be a resource for the town as well for any concerns or complaints with regard to those parameters. But I really think it's, several steps to go through. I think the committee or council would develop, the charter, to you, Madam Chair, the charter for what that, and then present it to the select board for approval or consideration.
Sorry, did you want to? So that all sounds
Like, I don't
great.
think the answer should come from me particularly. I think that they should come from, a group that wants to sit on the committee or council and.
So it's been my experience in the private sector. I've seen this done really, really well. Also seen it done not so well. And when it's done really, really well, those committees have very clear objectives they're trying to achieve, right? So whether it's representation in hiring or a reduction in complaints on discrimination, there's something specific because of the culture or something that's not working. And so you put together this committee to help people feel included and solve a problem.
Sure.
I'm still not clear what we would be asking this committee to do. That's where my discomfort is right now.
Okay, I'm happy to come back to the select board with that. I wanted to, the definitions and missions of all of those cities and towns and their Human Rights Commission and Council pretty much are the same, and so I would come back with that measure. But again, I don't think that should be just me. I'm happy to form a group of people who maybe might want to work on this.
See, and the reason it's important, I just want to clarify a little further why I think it's really important, is because what I learned is that every committee of volunteers pulls on town resources in one way or another, in ways I didn't know about before I took this role. So before we say yes to another committee, we need some clarification on what we want to achieve and what town resources that might pull on. Because if we have to go ask town meeting for, a budget to support it,
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I don't know how to do that right now.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I did start an organization, a nonprofit organization, so I'm very good at objectives, and we've been in existence for 13 years. So I'm happy to do that. I was just looking. I know I presented this before, and I think it was Brian said that they would do it informally, and I haven't seen any work done on that. So that's why I just brought it before the board again.
Becky, what was the name of the young woman?
Lindsay Banks.
Yes,
Lindsay Banks.
Yeah, and Lindsay's worked mostly, from my understanding, mostly with the schools, on school issues, but this is more of a community-based or depth within the entire community as opposed to just a little myopic.
I have the same concerns as Kathy.
Sure.
And, yeah, and
Sure.
I think that not just the mission statement, but well,
I guess the question is, are we addressing, is there something we're addressing? Is there a concern that we are addressing?
Or a concern about what's happening in the community
This
that's not
community,
being
in this
addressed,
community,
that
right.
this community, this committee
Right.
would help with and
And then
address.
to layer, and then to that point, another layer of bureaucracy, okay? And stress in town assets is a concern of mine. And that was one of the reasons we waited up to this year now. It's been a year since you came.
Yeah.
to us
A year?
before. And it took us,
Have you,
it took this long for this, to cull this down, okay?
so have you
Because-
done anything? You said you
Well, we
did.
just did, we just voted on.
No, I meant, you had said,
We
yeah,
be
go
a little
ahead.
careful of back and forth.
No, we wanted to see, I believe, where the town was and whether or not this is something that the town wanted to take on as a committee. And we're still in that process at this point.
Well, the action I recall, which we did, was I was uncomfortable with setting up a new committee until we addressed the committees that we already had. And that was the action that
Right.
I think we took as a board, and we just completed that tonight.
Okay.
So,
Before I recognize John, I have a couple of just procedural. We are working to make all committees 3-year appointments. It's just a lot easier if it's the same range. I am concerned about your desire to include a lot of town employees. Our town employees are very, yes, police department, school department.
I'm just saying that's an example of what some of the other towns and cities have done.
I think, I think the suggestion that the committee would respond to incidents of hate, bias, and discrimination, I think that's a heavy load to put on volunteers. And these are just, kind of routine matters, and not philosophical at all. John?
Yeah, so question, Hope, this document that you sent to us, certainly you produced this. You're not a one-person show.
Right, oh God, no.
I mean, if we said go, would you be able to put together a committee of 7, 8, 9 people right away? I mean, when you start something like this, it's, it starts with one person, but it has to go from there. And because we are so challenged, at any point in time, there are a dozen slots that are empty here. I don't know if that's because people, volunteerism isn't what it should be, or if it's because some of the stuff that's open isn't interesting to them. I don't know. But we're short on people. But
No, I understand that. I was on the animal control.
Oh, you were.
I'm on the 4th of
Department
July
of One.
Board Committee, and I'm on the welcoming committee.
Okay, so I know you've been involved in quite a few things, so you know
I
the
get it.
challenges
Yeah.
that are involved. But in other words, you have kind of a groundswell of interest of, like-minded people that see a challenge, and I might join some of my colleagues and say, it's not clear to me what the challenge is here. Is this a solution looking for a problem? Or have we got problems?
I think it's more representation and the availability of a committee to hear concerns and complaints.
And
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think we still need to have a better understanding of what supports would be needed. Just in terms of the various committees and organizations we have, and how they function for the town and where the support comes, whether it's from staff, financing from town meeting, and I think we don't have enough information.
yeah, so what I would suggest, if I could make a suggestion, I would say we need a proposal, right? Which has clear objectives. What would you anticipate to achieve in year 1, year 2? Just some specificity. Also, I would encourage you to consider starting small, right? 10 people just sounds too large for this town, based on what I've learned about all the other committees that we have. Smaller is better, okay? So specific charter objectives, what your team might look like, and what you would hope to achieve after the first year or the second year, so we could then take a look and say, okay, did this have the intended effect? right?
Sure.
That's
You
what
did-
Operationalize that.
Please don't respond until,
Oh, I thought she.
I'd like to make an addition to that.
Yeah.
To Kathy's point, if you can think of things that you're gonna do that are measurable,
Yes.
right? Not just, we did program A, B, C, and D. Did they make a difference? Well, what were we measuring to see if they made, you gotta figure out how you're gonna do that, that's all. Add that as.
Brian,
Might I suggest also looking at this starting as an advisory, okay? That doesn't act upon town resources and grow into, and potentially grow into a committee. I don't know if
Yeah,
that.
it depends on what you're trying to achieve.
Agenda.
That's why I think it
Yeah.
starts with what work
That's-
do you want to do, what objectives? Then you can structure the committee, whether it be a committee that reports to the select board or an advisory committee to a member of staff. You can make that decision once you know what the work is and
absolutely.
what you're
I
going
agree.
to measure, yeah.
thanks. Anyone else in the, okay, anyone else in the room? Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to ask, does that include freedom of speech?
Name and address, please.
Oh, Mike Shaw, 12 North Street.
It's for the record.
Does that include freedom of speech and the human rights?
Can you address your question to me?
Yeah, oh, sorry.
And then, I know this seems like a silly formality,
Yeah,
but otherwise we end up in a brawl.
yeah.
And I've only got this to try and calm things.
More than I had.
Do you have a response to the question about freedom of speech? The question is, would the freedoms and human rights that you're trying to defend include freedom of speech? Is that a fair summation?
Yes.
I actually, I mean, I haven't written a proposal, so I don't, of course, freedom of speech is included.
Thank you.
I was just wondering because she was trying to squash ours.
Okay. You got away with that. Okay.
And lost. She lost.
Right, we're done.
I don't even know what we're supposedly
This
supposed to
is
be
just
talking
not-
about here, so.
I just think
Yeah,
there's
just-
I think there's
no,
an agenda
no.
with this, with her human rights committee. And it's her agenda only. She's concerned about her.
That's out of order.
Thank you, that's an interesting comment, and I think that's what we have been addressing in trying to set up the parameters for the committee and what the committee expects to achieve.
Okay.
And before the committee is formed, that will be very clear and it will be discussed in an open meeting.
Okay.
Thank you for your guidance, appreciate it.
Good.
Truly.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, here we go. And thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you for
Yes,
sitting
we-
through
Thank you.
an hour and a half.
Thank you.
Happy trails, Morgan.
I know what
Yeah, literally.
That was funny.
That was funny.
Did you like that?
That's a good one.
Okay. We are a little over a half an hour behind schedule, and we are taking on the question of permission to build an operations trailer, and I think also a vehicle shed on the compost, the new compost site.
So sorry.
Yeah. Yes, sure.
Okay, Greg, you want to lead this?
Sure. So, obviously, we have folks from Black Earth.
Mhm.
We have an existing contract
Mhm.
with Black Earth. They are close to making it operational at the new facility at the old landfill site. I think getting the electricity turned on and some last connections and equipment operational, and they'll be up and running. So the current contract does not envision these two additional shelters. So we need to reopen the contract and add this if that's your if you're willing to do that, certainly Black Earth would like that, is requesting that. They did go through the planning board for site plan review. They have, the planning board has approved these two buildings. So from a permitting perspective, they're in good shape. So it is, the final step is then for you to discuss whether or not you want to add this and what changes to the contract would be reflected to allow that to happen. So we did negotiate a price. Basically, we are receiving a reduction in the cost of our curbside composting collection by allowing Black Earth to use our land for this new facility. This is a more intensive use of the land, and I think it has some monetary value to Black Earth, and therefore I think it does warrant talking about changes to the contract from a monetary perspective as well. Black Earth has proposed a potential change that you'll see in the memo that Andrew wrote to you, that's in your packet. I think this evening, I think it would be helpful if, from my perspective, I would love to see us, at least if it's agreeable to you in concept, to allow the additional buildings. And then if that's the case, then perhaps one or two of you would join me, Andrew, and perhaps Chuck, whoever else from Black Earth, to do sort of a final round of negotiation and then bring back to this full board a proposal, rather than sort of negotiate in open session here. But that's just my recommendation is how to best proceed.
Becky?
Are we, is what Black Earth wants to do up there with the buildings, and I can understand that, is it costing the town any more?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Other question? I have a silly question. In your description, you say you collect textiles for free.
Yes, I believe that's part of the contract, is it not?
Yes.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Leave it out
and
in a
I
white
heard
bag.
recently that you had to get a sticker of some sort. Not anymore?
That may have been a mistake on our end that someone told you that.
Ah.
Um,
So white bag,
White
textiles
bag, textile.
Yeah,
on the curb.
And
yes.
I don't
At
own white
compost.
bags, so I
Yes.
just put them on top. Can you use a paper bag instead of a plastic bag, or is that something you all have to? This is a sidebar, if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
But you did open the textile drawer.
Yes.
I don't own those bags, so.
I think the plastic bags preferred, just sometimes they put them in the back of the truck and you want to isolate them from the
Okay.
food. Yeah.
Sorry. But that's all. I'm gonna stop.
Question.
So, John, yes.
And I'm reading the note that you sent to us. With regard to the permit capacity, so explain that to me. This is increasing every year. In fact, I don't know when it started. Who controls, why is that there, and who controls that percentage, and what's going on? Right now, you're at 30 tons per week, which is 33% of what the maximum permit level is.
Correct.
What goes on there? How does that work?
Right, so first of all, this is just for the Pine Street facility, and we haven't started operating yet, so we're not doing anything yet. The permit is the DEP's permit to operate the facility and compost food scraps. The increases, there's no like set time frame. It's Black Earth requests to the town provides permission. I believe it's DPW who would provide that, but I don't know if that's really set out.
All right, so the clock hasn't started yet for this.
There is no clock anyways, but correct.
Well, it's 33% is 30 tons. In other words, you're rated to be able to handle 90 tons.
In the full facility is.
Right. And,
And the DEP, I'm sorry, Jack,
Yeah,
the
go
DEP
ahead.
permit is
Yes.
490?
The DEP permit allows her to go up to 90.
Right.
In 15-ton increments with your permission.
okay, but the rate of increase, the rate at which that goes is up to you or up to us? It's not up to the DEP?
That actually is in the permit. It's like in 15-ton increments, and
Yeah, but 15 tons every week, more, or they give you a specific time?
no, so it'd be like the whole facility can then be allowed to take like 45 tons, like going
I
forward.
understand
I
that,
think
but
we're asking period of
the
performance.
period of time, in other words, why don't you go to 100 in the next 3 weeks?
Oh, the 15, so we're only allowed to ask every 6 months.
That's the question. That's the answer.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we just put that in the permit because it seemed reasonable, like, 15 ton, so it's like 3 or 4 increments, and every 6 months.
And so, I mean, you work with a lot of towns, and 30 tons, I don't know, maybe that's where you're at right now, and if you get a permit that can go to, what's the next level? 45 tons, you approach a couple of other towns, because you've got more capacity. Is this how it works?
Not exactly, like, we're already collecting that, so we send some stuff out on a trailer.
Oh,
So
to other,
we wouldn't, like, be not sending that out for the moment, and we'd be composting it on site.
did you underestimate your capacity to be able to handle that? I assume you would want to handle that in-house, but you've got this 6-month time period.
No, so we started at 30 tons because that's what the town wanted. And
Okay,
so we always wanted more. And like originally in the negotiations, we had talked about like a royalty payment for each
Understood.
additional ton. But the town didn't like that. They want just like nice and easy, like flat rate going the whole time. They didn't want like a royalty.
That's not my recollection.
Well, I think part of the concern was just traffic and
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
we wanted to take this slowly.
To understand what
What sort of traffic impacts we were
manageable, right, so
Okay.
it wasn't just simply,
There's also the financial issue
Yes.
of knowing what we can expect to be
Right.
charged for each segment, rather than, oh, we had a good month, so we're, collection fees are going down, and, yeah. Anyway, there we are, this,
I got a handle on the math.
okay? Other questions? Kathy?
And just what percentage of the town takes advantage of this service right now? Do we know?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Our last count was about 45-50% of households in town.
That's pretty good.
that's increased, hasn't, I mean,
Yeah,
from, yeah,
We were around a third,
yeah.
when we started, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Sustainability Committee has those because they ask us every year.
Mhm.
And then we do counts for them.
Yeah. I think they've also been working on education, information in this. I'd be happy to volunteer to help out with this, given that I'm probably less busy than some.
I'd raise my hand, not that I'm less busy, I can figure it out.
So, I gather, I should wait, Brian will be back, I'm sure. Is it the opinion of the board that we should go forward with a negotiation to allow the new buildings? I'm just looking for a consensus.
I'm in agreement with
Okay.
them having the buildings, I'm
Mhm.
not sure that I
I think we
personally.
just take the negotiation out of the public meeting, but yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we need to.
Right.
So I understand that John and Becky have volunteered
Mhm.
to negotiate with you nice people. Good luck. Is there anything else that you need from us now?
No, but I was gonna just update you in general on like the move out plan and finishing construction.
That'd be good.
Yeah,
That's right.
that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what Chuck says, what Greg said is accurate. We're waiting on National Grid to hook us up for electricity. That could be a month, 2 months, it's kind of unclear.
It's been a real struggle.
Yeah, they're,
National Grid.
it's, yeah.
When are they coming to us for request for a road opening next?
Exactly.
Next
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Now, do we have a-
Yeah, we just
yeah,
got-
we
I
got- we
just
got
got
a
one.
little letter
Deny
here.
that until they
So-
take care of
Because-
these folks? Yeah.
One conversation at a time. We have, Brian, Becky and John will join Greg in negotiating. We agreed by consensus
Yes.
that we think this
Good
whole,
farming.
this is, a-
Unless you want, would you?
No, I
prefer
don't
be-
have no,
okay.
no,
Okay.
this is gonna be,
okay. So, and now we're
we have
hearing,
nothing else to do now, right?
now we're hearing their tale of woe about getting this thing open.
Yeah, I mean, it's been painful, but it's not, it feels like just the process. But yeah, we've been on them for every week the last 6 months, and like, I started talking with them early in April 2022. So, long time.
To try to get,
A pole moved and,
Yeah, to get a
This is National
pole
Grid.
moved. Yeah, they just moved
so
it.
we were calling our contacts,
But
slow going.
just so you know, where they're at now is they need to deliver the transformer. So that's where they're at. They need to get us the transformer. So when that gets done, we'll need a few weeks to like run the systems and make sure everything's operational. There's a few things we need power for. And then the plan is to be like have a lot of like the operations in the upper area of School Street moved out in July. And then we'd like to be moved out of everything, all the piles out by end of September. And that time frame allows us to finish the last compost that comes in like whenever the facility opens, April, May, June. Like we'll finish everything by September and get out by end of September. And
So,
that's
Greg?
something I've discussed with Chuck.
So if National Grid is coming before us at our next meeting, can we ask for an update on their plans here? Because I'm not inclined to include anything else until they take care of these things.
Yeah, that should be in advance, so they know that's coming down.
Exactly, we're not gonna
No,
surprise them,
we'll
let
let
them know. We expect an update and a commitment to get the pole done or whatever, transformer, whatever it is.
Transformer at this point.
Transformer.
Yeah, if it's Faith who's coming before you, she's been very helpful.
Unfortunately, no, it's not her.
I have actually.
In person.
Ask for it.
Is there anything further that you need from us? Is there anything further that we need from them?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay, thanks.
Nice presentation,
We'll be in touch.
clear, short.
thank you. So Greg, will you be setting up with Black Earth?
Yep.
Is that, okay,
Yeah.
all right,
We'll coordinate the time we can get together.
excellent. Thank you, gentlemen. I'll be bringing my text files.
Take them over, I'll take them in my bag.
Thank
Come up next. Nice to
Yes.
meet you, Catherine Bryan.
Mhm.
you, Andrew.
Yes, the next thing
Hey, neighbor.
is permission for banners at Sweeney Park for the softball field.
Correct. My name's Paul Sturity. I live at 20 Forester Road in Manchester. I am also the president of the Manchester Essex Softball Association, 501(c). We just formed last year to kind of really help out down at Sweeney, get the softball field ready. We now have varsity girls back. They used to co-op with Hamilton Wenham. Last year was the first year they were back here. So that field needed a lot of work. Worked very closely with Park and Recs and DPW. We raised about $30,000 last year and really got a lot of new things down there. We've got a scoreboard, everything else. What we're looking to do is the same thing that we've done with Little League, with the banners. We would like to put them up like April 1st, have them down by July 1st. Put them up in a tasteful manner. Actually, I'll work with Park and Recs if it's granted. Because there's a little different challenge. We don't have an outfield fence. We do have an outfield fence, but it's a temporary one. because they use that as a soccer field as well. So we put it in, take it out at the end of the season. So we're gonna have to figure out exactly how we're gonna do it on the fence. But we also have the backstop. We can use some of that area as well. So I have some photos if you need anything or any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I think you're probably aware there's a complication in that there is a citizen petition article that will appear on the town warrant to allow signs on property owned by the town and property owned by the town and controlled by the schools. This is an effort to allow a similar use of signs and advertising at Highland Field. And this is my personal feeling. If that is turned down at town meeting, I'm going to have a hard time saying that this is different. If the voters say that the town and the schools should not be allowed to permit these signs, I think. So my suggestion is that we agree conditional to the vote of the town meeting.
So just, we're not school related, we're K through 8.
Yes,
Just so
I
you know.
understand,
Yeah.
but that is a town-owned facility. So the town can give you permission unless the voters say that the town shouldn't.
But to be honest with you, I'm familiar with both sides of this with the school as well.
Yeah.
Because I was on a sports committee there as well.
Okay.
What they're looking to do, and it's a little broader, they want to be able to put advertisement inside the school,
That's-
on school property and
No,
things
this
like
is-
that to raise money for the school system sports program. This is like it is for Little League, like it is for, it's K through 8, not school related. This is like
But
town
this is
softball.
this is the, yeah,
Is this, but I kind of was viewing this a little differently because it's not on the school grounds. Does that not differentiate?
the current town bylaw, it can be argued, would disallow this use. And
Unless
the-
we permit it?
Yeah.
No, it's the bylaw says no. If the citizen petition is accepted, then the town has the ability to give permission for people to put this sort of signage on town property.
So I think I might suggest that you could give your approval now for this season, but if the vote is not approved, then you're gonna have to have a different conversation
Would you
for
be willing
next,
to take the
for
signage
next,
down?
for next year.
Signage, yeah, so signage will go up April 1st, and we'd have it down July 1st, regardless of any decision, it's the season, and then we take them down.
Okay.
That's what Little League does as well.
So just because of the timing, it's,
Yeah, we can't give you permission and say on April 25th, if it's voted down,
that's what I'm
you're in a
concerned.
difficult
They're-
position. You
they're in a
can't
tough spot.
sell advertising for 3
Right.
weeks. So I
That's why I was
concur
thinking that you might need
that's
to do
probably,
I-
you know,
I
nothing's
agree with
happened
that.
yet, so that
I don't
makes,
see it being a much of a problem. I mean, obviously, the potential exists, but I can't see where the voters would have a problem with that.
is Paul aware of this? The town,
Yeah, so Paul has basically considered this temporary and therefore.
I understand his interpretation, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's aware that we're considering this as well?
This is
Yeah.
the building inspector, so it's not different, not you.
Yeah,
Not
different
this
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, yes.
Yeah.
No, that's fine, thank you.
Two calls, no wait.
Okay, do I have a motion then?
Yes.
Who's in charge of that?
I move that the board approve the request from the Manchester Essex Softball Association to hang temporary banners at Sweeney Park softball field.
Second.
Friendly amendment,
Specifically from.
specifically from April 1st through July 1st of 2024.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Any further discussion? Brian,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John says yes.
Okay.
So we're approved.
You are approved.
Approved.
Going forward,
Going,
should I do this every single year?
going forward will kind of depend on what the town does.
Okay.
And if you'd like to lobby the town to permit.
I think, and if I may, I think you're gonna have to come back next year because we're approving this
Yeah, for
for
this year.
2020.
And which is fine, I just want to make sure.
And then
Yeah,
next
you'll
year
probably-
it's,
you'll probably have to come back every year.
Which is, yeah,
Which-
okay, thank you.
Even though
make
your
it-
kids aren't playing anymore.
Yeah, but I can't let this.
No?
We gotta keep improving this field.
Yep.
It looks great down there with the scoreboard and the speaker system.
It does.
It's been
Great.
nice,
Yeah.
it's been
Great.
really nice, so, and Park and Recs, DPW, everybody's been so helpful.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Super.
Good job.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Paul.
It's only been-
Okay. Parking.
Flag.
Right.
Is Diane online?
I'm sorry.
Is Diane online?
She has a conflict tonight with the, with the
Well-
Wenham board.
no,
So she does send her regrets.
Uh-huh.
Is she still chair?
Sorry.
Select board there? Is she still chair?
I believe so. So I think it might be helpful just sort of from the materials in your package, just sort of take it from the top and just go section by section.
Yep.
If that is agreeable to everyone. So section 1 talks about the resident stickers. And how they're distributed, where they need to be placed. If they're lost, you need to pay $10 for replacement. New residents would need to bring in their car registration, obviously, because they won't have received one as part of their excise tax.
People who lease and who do not pay the tax. Are there any comments on this?
I just want to be clear on renters are included, like full, if someone has a lease for a year or 6 months, they're not a short-term renter, they are someone who rents an apartment, they are included as their residents. right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they are.
What about the building owner?
That's the
That's
next
the next
category.
category.
So that's,
yeah, we're just on the first top, first top.
yeah, I just want to do it, section by
Okay.
section here.
Top half one.
I would suggest deleting the line that says resident stickers are valid for a year. We may decide to shift the time period at some point, and we're tying ourselves up unnecessarily, I think, with that.
Or we could modify it?
Valid for the time indicated on the sticker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, John.
Sorry about this.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, so with that change, the resident stickers are valid for the period indicated on the sticker. We okay with that?
Mhm.
Do we, so
Do you want a
let's,
motion on each one,
let's-
Greg, or do you want
That's
Collective
what's
on that.
here,
I'm
right?
sorry.
do you want a motion on each one, or do you want to go through the whole discussion first and then?
let's do a motion on each one. It doesn't take very long and it
Okay.
makes it very
Okay.
clear.
So I move to approve the resident sticker policy as indicated with the change to remove the line.
Change the validity.
Change, validity of 1 year to as printed on the sticker.
Second.
Brian,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Anne says yes.
Yes,
Okay. Non-resident property owners. And let's do this by itself. So the question is, if you're a non-resident property owner, do you get there one sticker for the person to whom you rent your property and one sticker for yourself?
So what I see here, there's a note here, this is hard to regulate and may be difficult to impose. To me, that's a red flag. If we can't enforce something,
Mhm.
it makes no sense to put it in the policy, in my mind. It just creates bureaucracy and.
Okay, so is your suggestion that we not issue stickers to non-resident property owners?
No, my suggestion is that we allow a property owner to have a resident sticker.
Yeah.
They can now, right?
I envision, well, I know people, they're in Florida 6 months in a day.
Right.
And their Florida plates are here in town. In the winter, they own the place, they rent it out, short term when they're not here.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with this. We get too many snowbirds,
Mhm.
I myself, before I moved here full-time, I had my daughter living, there's all sorts of good reasons why, I just have a problem
What
with
about
someone who's paying taxes,
With the
not.
excise tax, is the car, how about where the car is,
No, but
Well, that's the problem with that. Their cars are registered in Florida.
I know.
My
the
car was
snowbird.
registered in Andover until I moved here full-time, and then,
Yeah.
but I paid taxes like everybody
Yeah,
else. I wanted my sticker.
But-
What is the note about hard to regulate? I hear what Kathy's saying, and that something that's hard to regulate shouldn't happen.
So the hard to regulate part is the one sticker, because your snowboards might have 2, 3, 4 cars. And the renters may have two or 3 cars. So it increases the number of stickers.
Right. So the issue in my mind, I'm not sure we would be discussing this if we didn't allow ordinary resident stickers to be used at the beach, okay? Because if I'm a snowbird, right, and maybe I'm not a snowbird, but maybe I'm just living somewhere else and have a part-time, I live here part-time or use the property part-time, I need to be able to park just to do business downtown, forget the beach, right? But I think there's angst about giving
You're right.
property owners who don't live here a sticker, because now you can use that regular sticker at the beach. I don't think we'd be having this conversation if it couldn't be used at the beach. But as a non-resident property owner, I needed a resident sticker just to do business here. And that's my concern.
How many does this affect? Do we have any idea how many
That was gonna be my next question.
how many non-residents, property owners do we have?
So
Like 5%?
Yeah, I don't have that number.
That's where we need, I don't know that.
I don't know. I asked her that question, I don't think she had that.
Which
Well,
is why it's hard to regulate.
Right.
Yeah.
Because part of it is, how do you have a sticker that's valid for the duration of somebody's living in town? If you're not paying excise taxes, but you own the building,
So the same way you'd show up with your evidence that you own the building and evidence that you own this car, and you get
And
a
they've got my
sticker.
sticker. Yeah.
You
But
get
I
a sticker
mean,
It's good for a year. It's,
a-
for the calendar year. Well, it's calendar year
but a
now.
renter is renting just for the months of,
Yeah, they're long-term.
December through whatever, but they're going to get a beach sticker,
They
even
are.
if they're not living here.
You mean for the months that they aren't here? They're
Right.
living in there for 4 months or 5 months,
And then they move out.
and they've got the sticker. I mean, how much, it's tough to
That's-
micromanage all this.
Yes.
Well, that's part of the problem, though. I mean, we can't, I don't feel that it's right for some to be penalized and some not. Either, and I don't know if there's an easy solution.
Right, I think
to this.
like I said, I think we created there was an unintended negative side effect of allowing the resident stickers to be used at the beach. Because I will tell you, I live on a resident
Yeah.
only parking street, okay? And if you're telling me I wouldn't be able to get to my building during the summertime and park on the street where I live, okay? Because, you know, I don't live there full time, that's baloney, you can't do that.
Right.
You have to allow property owners to park in residential areas because they might need to get to their property.
So
And
this,
we have a very long list of streets to approve. They're
And that's
resident
what we
only.
need to go
That's the
back
issue.
to.
You can't
Yeah.
deny property owners, resident stickers.
Yeah. I think that's.
We're gonna revisit the beach issue in September after Diane
Yes.
collects data here, right?
Okay.
But I just think the decision tonight is, do we allow property owners who are non-residents to get a residential sticker? And I think the answer has to be yes.
Yep.
As,
Yeah.
Should it be one sticker or should it be a sticker for
I think, I don't know,
each car?
that's a good question.
That's a
That's
tough one because they're not paying excise tax, so how do we know how many,
Well,
if they're coming in getting
If-
stickers for all their
Yeah.
whomever kid,
I,
No,
well,
all
I,
you have to do
let
is
me
show
offer-
a bill.
let me offer a couple of scenarios, real-life scenarios. So one real-life scenario is that there's more than one owner of the building. So maybe a
Mhm.
husband and wife or whatever, right? So I think both of those people should be allowed to get a sticker. You could also have the situation like I did where I had multiple cars registered in my name because my kids' cars were in my name. You can't tell me which car is my car and which car is my
Yeah.
kid's car.
Yeah.
And they might need to borrow car number one and I need to get to my property.
That was the scenario that Diane brought up, that
Right.
exact scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I needed to send my kids here to go pick up something. You tell me they can't park on the street because they didn't take mommy's car? No, you can't do that. You know?
But they're not registered here, so
Right,
that's a
but,
whole.
but the car was registered in my name. So when I went to Diane
Oh,
to
I
get
see,
my
yeah.
stickers,
Yeah.
they were my cars and I'm the property owner. I want my cars. I don't want to have a Manchester car that I just drive to Manchester.
No, I understand, and in that circumstance,
real
you know, how many
scenario.
parents have cars registered to them that their kids are driving and the kid's 35 years old? I hope not many,
Yeah, well,
but you
I'm
can't
out
do
of that
it.
scenario,
If
but
if
yeah.
the car is registered to whoever that name is, and if that name is also on the title to the house or whatever,
yeah, you can't say
This,
that.
this scenario exists for insurance purposes too.
that's correct, that's a little
You know,
subversive.
when, you know,
Yeah.
okay, so. a
But
lot
I'm
of
not
people-
in the insurance, you
No,
know.
but what I'm
business.
saying is that there are a number of different reasons
Yeah.
why people will
Absolutely.
Think that cars in their
register a
name.
car in Manchester that really don't live in
I
Manchester.
wholeheartedly understand that, but if you're a property owner, car is your property too, and you have the right to bring your car and park it on the street where you own property. I don't know
So-
how you police that.
Well, you know, I would be in favor of saying, you've got to deal with all of that. Diane can keep track of when people
So-
manually come in and say, well, how many stickers are involved each year on this? If it's like 30 or 40, I don't care.
And that's what we need, right.
We need.
He did, what does the current law say, that a property owner can get a resident sticker?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if
Yes.
we want to just leave it the way it is,
A
then we don't have to change and
No,
vote to change
wait, this
anything?
this is, what it says is one sticker may be issued to a non-resident.
My question is this a request for a change, or is this the current law? This does not look like the current law to
The
me.
one is the new piece.
Yeah, this is a request to
So you,
change
you
it. to
you
this.
strike one and just say stickers may be issued.
But what does the current bylaw say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Stickers may be issued.
You take the one out, and that's the current.
Right.
Right.
So if it's the current bylaw already, do we need to vote to change anything at all? I'm thinking we don't.
I think that's a good idea for right now. Leave it as
Leave
is
it alone.
and then revisit the
With
beach
the data.
aspect
Yeah.
in the fall.
So we're saying
Yeah.
that stickers,
Kicking it down the road.
We're saying leave it the way it is.
well,
The stickers may be issued.
Until such
to a
data
Take out
comes
the
back
one,
to us
other
that we
than
know
that.
what we're
well,
changing.
and probably make it a plural sticker.
Right,
Just say stickers,
exactly.
yeah, that's right.
So is there a motion to approve the non-resident property owners as, stickers may be issued to a non-resident who owns a Manchester residential property. The owner must personally present the vehicle registration and proof of ownership, which could be a tax bill or other legal document.
But do we need to approve anything if it's the
Let's
existing
just-
law?
I thought we don't, yeah, I think we
Okay,
don't.
I think we don't.
just,
Okay, fine.
that's my thought on that one.
Is that exactly the current wording? Okay. Then the next one is commercial.
Mhm.
I think so.
So again, is this the current law? Do we need to vote on anything if this is what currently exists?
Well, just asking, should it be continued? But yes, if it's the same as it is now, then we don't need to do anything on that one.
And is Diane tracking this information, you know, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay. Is she in the past, or is she just,
I don't know how.
as
to
long
an
as she's doing it
extent.
now, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. Okay. I don't know what it says, means when it says in parentheses, partners or multi-person partnerships are not eligible for a beach sticker since there aren't beach stickers.
Exactly. That's why I'm not
Yeah.
comfortable voting on this at all.
Okay, so why don't we strike that? We will have to come back to it. If we decide to change the way stickers work. But one sticker may be issued to a Manchester commercial property. The owner must personally present vehicle registration and proof of ownership, so one for commercial.
And that's as it is now,
So
is that
then
correct?
We don't need to
So-
change anything.
No change on that.
Okay,
And same with the business owner. Is that in our bylaws now? The business owners do not receive a residential sticker
Correct.
unless they own, that's what it is now? So we don't need to do anything with that either, correct?
did the current, in the previous commercial one, does the current law include the parenthetical about beach stickers?
Yes, so that's a change because of the.
Struck.
Mhm.
Well, I think we probably should strike that.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, so we
Yep.
do change that,
Okay.
Okay,
so
so we do need a motion.
So I
on that.
move to continue the practice of issuing one sticker, one resident, is it a residential parking sticker? Right? For Manchester commercial property owners. The owner must personally present the vehicle registration and proof of ownership
And it's one sticker per
per
property.
property, one sticker per property.
Friendly amendment, second?
Yes.
Brian says yes.
Yes.
Becky says yes.
Yes.
Kathy says yes. Ann says yes.
John
Done.
says yes.
Okay. And then business owners, we haven't changed, so we can just skip it. And we go on to parking placards, where it gets complicated. I have a problem with the line that says, doing so will end the placard program. One person,
I'm sorry.
the placards are not to be copied or reproduced in any way. Doing so
Oh,
will
okay.
end the placard program. That seems a little draconian.
Yes.
Yeah, it should say,
For that individual.
right. Anybody who does so will be removed from the placard program. I think if you copy it, you're out.
Absolutely.
I actually think there should be a fine associated with placard duplicating.
Mhm.
Because they would be duplicating the town seal, and we know that's a problem.
That's a problem. Yes, we
That's a
do.
very good point.
So,
Yeah,
What might an appropriate fine be? Because ending their participation in the placard program does nothing. They might repeat the same behavior next year, and what are you gonna do? If they,
So
there's gotta be
there's,
some kind of a fine.
I was gonna say 500.
500.
that's exactly what popped into my
That's a
mind.
great idea.
Good chief. Where are we legally on
It's
that?
not punitive at this
Can
point.
we do that? Yeah.
I don't, I have to check, I don't know.
We
It
do
may
have,
be
we do
limited
have
to 300.
guidelines.
Maybe a limit of what?
It may be limited to 300.
Okay.
Do you know, chief?
It
Well-
might be 300 now that you mentioned it.
Yeah.
It's in the, it would be under the,
It's still substantial though.
Yes.
section 25D tickets.
Could we do that per day?
Once it's copied, it's copied.
I know, yeah, I know. Well,
But did they use it? I mean, it's per use, right?
if,
Oh, well, once you discover it's been. Different copies.
Yeah, you don't know.
They could have multiple copies, use it again, get another ticket.
$300 a month,
well, or more
or more if
can,
possible.
if we're allowed.
What? Just a second, placard will be sealed by the parking clerk's office.
She has her notaries, an official emboss, right?
Right, so it'll be an official,
There's got to be a better way of saying that.
yeah, I agree.
Just like plasticized? Like when you
No,
put- like-
it's
Embossed?
it's the, like the.
Oh, it's embossed, oh, it's like a
Or just
notary.
Gold seal and emboss it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I like your birth certificate.
So maybe if you make those revisions and come back to us, we would,
Congratulations.
so add a fine. Clarify the
define, you're out forever.
wording.
We'll seize your house.
And instead of saying, I think it would be good to say that because the placard will have the town seal, it is a town document. And that, I think that,
Yeah, I think it's a good
I put that in as a
explanation.
parenthetical statement. I think
Yes.
that's a good idea. It's a very specific, gives it more of a legal
That's what
heft.
Manchester Matters won't be.
Like
however,
Like the fine should be included, that verbiage should be included on the actual placard, so they know that if they duplicate
It's
it.
a good idea.
but yes,
They will get a.
but I think that what we need to distinguish is that the fine for this is a fine, if someone duplicates it, that's what the fine is. It's not the fine for misappropriating the town seal. That's a different thing. I mean, that could be tacked on, but it's.
But the placard should say what happens if you copy it.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
The legalese we can.
I believe the maximum is 300, I just looked it up.
Okay.
Still good.
Okay, now we get into the actual details. A resident temporary sticker is free when a sticker car is in the shop. And I think we would take out the and allows for all resident parking, including beaches.
Fine.
Okay,
Like, I mean, I literally just got one a few months ago, my car was in the shop, and
okay.
I needed to get everywhere, including the beach.
Oh, it's just that all stickers allow for parking in all residential, or, yeah, okay, fine.
But this is a
Good.
temporary placard, and
Yep.
do all temporary placards allow for the beach?
No, this is the resident temporary.
That's
Okay,
right.
okay,
It
fine.
says
So
right
this
there.
one is, I understand.
Is that, when it says temporary, anything that's temporary must have a date on it. Is
It's
that-
a, she gave me a
Is that-
2-week window, because that's,
It's negotiated? Okay.
yeah, because I told her when my car would be out of the shop, and then I had to go back and get it extended when it was there longer. Yeah.
Okay.
Those testings.
That's,
Someone hit me.
Oh, jeez.
I'm
Didn't
not
explode?
happy.
I would not be happy about
I was
that.
very upset.
Okay. Rental town. Oh, this one, okay. $50 a week for short-term rentals with proof of rental and includes Singing Beach parking.
And I don't think it should include
talked
parking. I
about
thought
this
we,
and suggested that it include Singing Beach parking on weekdays.
Yes,
Yes.
weekday singing beach party.
Weekdays.
We,
You put in there Monday through
Monday
Friday.
through
Monday
Friday.
through Friday.
Monday through
Yeah,
Friday,
that's- yeah, make it,
And what about,
And
is it
that would
increasing
be-
the cost, or?
I think it should be an increased cost.
do you want to add a complexity to that? I'm just thinking holidays.
Yeah,
I mean, that
that's,
becomes an aggravate, it's really only July 4th, but that's on a Wednesday, you know.
Could be Memorial Day.
that's true, and both of those are big.
Memorial Day depends on the weather,
Okay,
but
so-
July 4th,
So Monday through Friday,
excluding
Including
holidays.
excluding
excluding
holidays.
holidays.
Yeah. And it would be good to have that stated on the placard.
Right.
This is Monday through Friday, correct? What would that increase fee look like?
I think there was a recommendation for $75.
75.
Yep,
That's
So Monday through Friday, excluding holidays, $75. Got it. Okay, caregiver placards.
did you want to do a motion for the
Yes,
Temporary,
temporary? I move that the select board approve the policies for the temporary, resident temporary, and rental temporary placards as modified.
second.
mm-hmm,
Yes.
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Anna says yes, John says yes.
Debbie, was that clear? Did you?
It's mud.
She's so good.
Okay, caregiver placards. I would like to change the senior to something else.
I was thinking, yeah, absolutely. There are people other than seniors who need care. Is there some wording that we can, like disabled residents who may not be seniors, may not be children?
Just call them caregiver placards.
Right. And then, and
Well, what distinguishes them from a nanny, I guess?
I think maybe they're two different things.
Well, but
yeah,
the reason I'm questioning it is because
I
if we're
agree.
gonna have caregivers get free placards but charge nannies, then we need to be able to distinguish them in some
Can
way.
you call
Suppose we
it-
make the caregiver placards, the senior, so that's number 2.
could you call it assisted
And then-
residence? Is that, does
I
that,
think we may need some.
as a
legal-
heading,
oh, legal
Okay,
help?
I think we may need some,
Okay, but suppose that senior residence was number 2 and nannies was number 3 and we increase the numbers thereafter
okay,
so that they're separate, clearly
Okay.
separate things.
all right, like a
Oh, I
disabled,
see.
add a disabled category or something, or,
Just saying care.
I see what you're saying. Caregiver is one placard, nanny is a totally separate one, but how do you,
Distinguish, how do you go?
I
if
agree.
I'm a nanny, I'm just gonna say, hey, I'm a caregiver, and
Yeah.
how do you prove?
Yeah.
Right now, there's proof based on age, right, so senior,
Mhm.
but if we want to
Mhm.
be able to allow other people who need caregivers, but asking them to provide some proof, I think we could get into some legal
Yeah,
issues, and I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if our
Licensed.
law, licensed,
Yeah.
well, but they could be a family member, so I think our,
well, it could also
We might
be
need some help
a
with this
young
one.
child who's disabled and the family has a live-in caregiver, and that's
Right.
very, I think a difference. So I think you're right, Kathy. I think we need to figure out how to have
the
that
issue is if we're gonna
appropriately.
charge for nannies and not for the other caregivers, we have to have an objective way of
So,
distinguishing them, and I'm
Yeah.
not legally competent
nannies?
enough to tell you what that is.
so we
How many
we call
nannies
them.
I don't know.
Are there?
Oh,
There's a few, yeah.
I would
Yeah.
think there would be, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But keep it going.
So
You're so full of it. You've been in town.
number 1 could be disabled residents.
But then, you know, we need to have some type of proof, so that's why I think we still need to get legal involved here.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what would we be allowed to ask for in terms of proof?
How does this, is permits issued for this now, or placards?
For the senior residents.
Yes.
And
And
nannies,
the
and
nannies.
nannies, yes.
For seniors, for senior givers? I'm just wondering how many of those folks are going to the beach?
It's the caregiver who gets the placard,
Right.
so the caregiver can go to the beach.
Well, or the caregiver is
Well, I mean, yes,
taking
if you give the placard, the check can do whatever he or she wants, but,
Right.
Monday through Friday, but it's still, it doesn't say
I mean,
Monday.
ostensibly, that was for the caregiver to, a little day out or an hour or two on the beach with whoever I'm taking care of.
Yeah,
Um,
So that's not how I think there is, again, when we started using one sticker for everything, we added a complication. A caregiver needs to be able to park in resident-only parking,
mhm.
okay? Forget the beach, right? So you have to allow that, but now it can be used for the beach. So now you add complications onto what we might want to do here.
Let's go back to the good old days.
See, I'm thinking, I mean, the point you make, are you a nanny or are you a caregiver? What do you want me to be?
Right, exactly. I want to be the caregiver if it's free.
Right.
Right. So I'm thinking we just charge, I don't care what the story is, we're charging you this. That's why I asked the question, how many caregivers are taking seniors to the beach?
That's why I asked how many nannies were.
But I'm
And,
concerned
you know,
about
you're
that.
paying for that, because I expect that 95% of you aren't going.
I don't know, I think, so you've got, if you have a senior who has, or somebody with disabilities who has a caregiver, I think many of those are on fixed incomes, and what the caregiver makes
Oh, no,
is not a great
that's correct.
amount, and I think we have to be, I think this needs to be given more thought
I agree.
all around.
I think we need Diane here, and she can tell us,
She
like, how
can.
many of these placards do we issue on a given, we need some data.
And I've seen seniors at the beach, frankly, they sit on the benches
Right,
up above they're not going out in the
because
middle.
they don't want to get run over by the dogs.
Oh, whatever, but they're sitting up there and
Another issue.
on the benches.
Well,
That's gonna come back.
Parks and Rec
This
getting
one-
Okay,
This one we're going
we
to
get a back burner.
Punt on this, right?
punt and get legal or at least more information, and the questions are how to distinguish between a nanny and a caregiver.
And if we need to, if the
And if we need
numbers.
to.
The
Yeah,
numbers
yeah,
may be small enough that we're not sacrificing any money.
Well, and could you
I'm
give,
not sure how many nannies we have.
well, also with the nannies, could you give them a temporary, like a renter placard, which serves the same function?
That's what I was looking for.
This is the
Right.
number.
That's all the,
6
Six what?
nannies.
6, yeah.
6 nanny
That's
placards.
right.
Oh, okay.
where'd that come from?
From last,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
It was,
ago.
it was one of the, I knew we had that number.
Okay, well done.
And the nannies, they're gonna probably take the.
Now,
most
interestingly, they also had caregiver placard. There was 16 of those, twice as many, but of course, that was a zero cost. So I don't know how many of those nannies were, quote, caregivers, but
Well, so I think that along with the employment that's asked for with nannies, and I think a nanny should just get, just the same as a temporary renter placard, they get a temporary nanny placard, and
I still think we need some information from Diane, because it's not
Yeah.
clear to me if, you know, you're over a certain, how does she determine that she can issue a senior resident caregiver placard? Does
Yeah.
the senior resident have to give a license with their birthday on it, and I just don't understand the process here for issuing. Can any senior walk in there and say, hey, Diane, I have a caregiver, I need a placard, or is there some documentation she asked for?
So if they're a resident and they're turned in their census, she has their birth date in the census. I guess if she's saying 65 and older, qualifying for senior caregiver.
That's why I
Right.
agreed, senior needs to be, I think that it's not
Right.
just a senior.
Right, but what I'm getting at is,
So I get an extra sticker just because I'm old?
Mature.
she's gotta be asking some questions about the recipient of the placard, who is the
Yeah.
caregiver, though,
Mhm.
right?
My
Otherwise,
son.
every, 2/3 of the population of the town can walk in
When
there
you
and
get a
get an extra
placard,
placard,
Yeah.
and give
And
it
then
to
give
the
it to
kid
the-
and go to the beach.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's
Your
a,
kids are caregivers, actually.
that's exactly.
Mine will raise their hand and
Who's-
say,
who's
hey,
that?
yeah. So I just think,
Okay, and incidentally, Monday through Friday excluding holidays.
So we want more info on that. Okay. Voter, huh?
What is signing beach parking?
Not signing.
Oh, yeah, signing.
Um, The,
Spell check made a boo-boo.
my understanding is that neither Rockport nor Marblehead makes any accommodation for out-of-town boat owners.
that's what I saw
Yeah.
as well. So why do we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we need
Doesn't bother
to.
me, I
No.
have a boat.
Nope.
I know Bion thinks this is important,
Why?
How many out of, well, it's like, what, a third?
I think.
How many voter placards do we issue?
What's your paper say?
What's your paper say, John?
82.
And we have how many spaces out back here?
Yeah.
2, 3?
6,
Oh, and
5 or
some at
6,
Tux
yeah.
5 or
Point,
6.
and some at Tux Point.
Out back here.
Well, Tux,
Just along the fence here.
Just the ones on the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that,
and Tux is just kind of a free-for-all.
Free for all, nothing posted.
yeah, it's anybody who wants to show up. Although those people, if you've got a placard, you can't park it, can you park in a resident space with a placard?
The voter placard, no.
Voter placards.
Voter placard? I mean, if all the spaces are filled and you show up,
Not a lot.
You're out of luck.
So this is directed at non-resident mooring holders,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Hmm.
And worst case scenario is that if the non-resident mooring holders couldn't park their car, they'd have to get a ride from a friend, or they'd say, I don't want my mooring anymore. I doubt it.
Certainly when we had a mooring in Marblehead, we had somebody.
Yeah.
We would find someplace legal to park.
Right.
And
They'll find a way, or if they
Right.
don't want their mooring, then the list gets shorter of
Yeah,
people
there's
waiting
someone
for
on that
moorings.
list waiting for that mooring, so.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
somebody's waiting for that mooring, it's 20-year waiting list, so I'm not too worried about people.
yeah, I understand Marblehead's probably, they got no place anyway.
Right.
They just don't.
Do
They have
we,
no place to park.
I mean, looking at
Has
what,
we do have a public parking area
Yeah,
that's
with
served
the-
by a
with this-
lawn.
It's served by a public launch.
It's like this big.
I don't know how big it is.
I mean, they have a very limited parking for
Yeah,
the size that
it
they have
was-
downtown, it's crazy.
I didn't know this, okay, I didn't know this one was.
What kind of backlash will happen
I think we need to get
if,
some more information on
if
this
we
one
decide
too.
this year we're not gonna have voting placards?
People have already paid for their moorings.
So that's gonna be,
So it could be a change we adopt next year.
Yeah.
But I still don't understand the value of taking up those parking spaces for non-residents when we are desperate for parking downtown.
Tux Point really isn't downtown.
I'm sorry, I was just talking about the ones out
Oh,
here.
okay.
Here,
Okay.
There's voter placard spaces at Tux Point.
no,
No, he's
there's
saying
nothing.
Nothing.
He's saying
It's just
nothing.
pull in.
Ducks Point is just technically resident parking only. There's no parking regulation.
However,
Resident parking.
however,
However,
People
however,
put voting placards there and expect not to get a ticket.
when we've been allowing the park because there's such limited spaces out back. We issue 82 something voting placards and where else are they gonna go?
So, so we have not been enforcing the voting
Not a-
placards.
No, yeah, we have out here.
Out here.
And at Tux Point. I mean, we were allowing it at Tux Point. Tux Point needs to be readdressed altogether with
Yeah.
what's gonna happen.
I mean, what these people could do is they could drop somebody off here, get the boat,
That's what
and
a
then
lot of
drive up to
people do.
Tux Point,
That's what a lot of people
pick
do.
me up on the way out. Because in Tux Point, anybody can, and I understand, you can't do anything about Tux Point. I mean, you got the Chowder House going all the time, and it's anybody can park there. So that's what they would do.
But it's not supposed to be go and park and you're there 8 hours overnight. It's not
Nothing that
supposed to
says you
be.
can't. Nothing that says you can't.
Yeah, there are people here who go out to Baker's Island,
Yeah.
and I don't know where they live, other than Baker's Island.
You're really, if you want to accommodate it, you're better off encouraging the longer-term parkers to be at Tux.
Oh, yeah.
There's more capacity there than there is here. To have someone take up a spot for a week here,
Oh, no,
that's a little abusive, I think.
Yeah. Well, should we be accommodating a boater for a week? I mean,
I
For
honestly don't
$50?
agree with accommodating.
Hmm?
We're talking about non-resident boaters, not resident boaters,
Right.
because a resident can park in a residential parking
Exactly.
space. I am not in favor of accommodating non-resident boaters for a week in the middle of downtown.
I'm the same,
Well, that's what I'm saying, Tux is a better space.
whether it's here or Tux Point.
One of my goals for tonight was to get some things resolved. And I'm hoping, now, I've heard that that other towns have limited facilities or no facilities for non-resident. I've heard we can't change this now because people have already paid for their moorings and assume that they can use their their non-resident mooring holder placard.
What do they pay now for a boater placard, Todd?
I'm not
Do you
sure
know?
off the top of my head, yeah.
It says here.
$50.
$50.
Yeah, and
$50.
that's what, and they were talking about increasing it to $70. I mean, $50 for a day.
For a week.
Yeah,
A season.
A season,
season,
there you go.
Right now, it's a season.
Okay, no.
Okay, you say that's ridiculous. Do you have
So
a
what can we
proposal
reasonably
for next year?
for next year? Is there anything, question one is there anything we could do this year? There's nothing we can do. What, could we move the spaces?
I think
Out
you could allow overnight parking at Tux
Yeah. You can say no overnight parking here.
and say no overnight parking here. I think that would be a
I
small
know.
step in the right direction.
That wouldn't drive people nuts.
In a designated area, you say for up to 7 nights. And this is a temporary boater placard, right? This is not a season
No,
boater.
no.
This is season.
This is a season boater placard. I think that $75, even $75 if we went up to that.
So if we just talk about this year,
Mhm.
if we add a time limit to these spaces of what? How many hours?
May I suggest similar to the time limit parking downtown, 8 to 6?
8 to 6, okay, good. How about 8 to 6 for the boater placard spaces behind Town Hall for this year? And then, what did you want to do at Tux?
Overnight.
Do we need to, oh no, why do we need to allow overnight parking for non-residents?
Because they're
Non-residents, okay.
Because they bought their mooring, they've already paid for the mooring, and they've been able to do that.
But to
Okay.
be gone for 7,
That's the expectation. We have to give them time to change.
No, I understand, okay.
So at Tux, the voter placard, the non-resident voter placard allows you to park for 7 nights.
That was a suggestion.
I was like, why do we need to
Right now,
allow?
it's kind of undefined.
It's undefined.
Yeah, it's
But the
undefined.
suggestion is a week. Well, Ann, you live in that world a little bit. How many of your colleagues are going off on a 2 and 3 week?
No, it's for non-residents.
I said
right?
colleagues, I'm not
My-
distinguishing.
Many of my colleagues are non-residents.
Okay,
And none of them park there
No,
No, that's correct, but,
more than
a day.
a day.
but you have friends that will go off on a 2-week trip sometimes?
but
I
they won't
have
park
friends
at
who will go
They'll
on
make
a
arrangements.
5-week trip.
Okay, all right, so those people exist here.
Yes, yes.
But they don't park at Tux, they don't park down at the Tux Point parking area.
No, I'm not quite, I'm just saying there are people that own boats that do that,
Oh,
Of course.
yeah.
okay?
So-
Ann just happens to know all of them happen to be in town, but there are others probably that
No,
don't.
I know people from both places, and as it turns out, most of them use the yacht club parking lot. But
Exactly.
passing on that,
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
let's increase the price to $100.
So are you talking this year, because we wanted to
This
talk about
year.
this year,
Just
next
this
year?
This year, $100, 8 to 6 by the ramp, and 3 nights at Tux.
And how do we monitor that then?
So she's gotta have an expiration date on, if someone's going away, she's
No,
gonna have to.
But
It's
it's
a
a
seasonal-
season.
Oh,
If
it's a
it's a
season.
seasonal, that's
So-
where, how do we know
Yeah, that's a
that?
good point, I don't know that.
And we
Okay.
can't, if we
Okay.
cannot enforce that, that's my point
Okay.
with that, the overnight. I mean, we won't know if they're 1 night, 1 week, or 1 month.
I assure you, I will know. If
So my only other thought would be to post a certain section of Tux Point voter placard, like in the back along the trees, and when
Yeah.
people aren't, when people are parked outside of that at night, patrols can see who's supposed to be there and who's not, you know what I mean? Just a suggestion.
So how many voter placard?
So put a chalk mark on the tire.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't chalk tires, it's illegal.
I got a
Okay.
can of spray paint, just kidding. I don't, just kidding.
Can you
A
put
post-it note under the
a
windshield.
post-it note on the windshield?
Post-it.
Okay, that would allow you to notice that somebody has
No,
been there.
the notice hasn't been removed.
Okay, so this year, $100 for a voter placard from 8 to 6 by the ramp and 3 nights at Tux, what we said. And then next year, do we want to get rid of this altogether?
Next year's next year.
Let's revisit this another
Well,
time.
let's
But
say,
it'll have to
We're
be,
taking up a lot of the parking again in October,
right,
which is
okay.
before anyone will have made a
Okay.
decision.
So we'll make a decision about voter placards next year at our October
October.
discussion. Got it.
all right, would you like a motion
Mhm.
to approve the voter placard price increased to $100 with the placard at applied to town hall for 8 in the morning to 6 PM and at Tux Point for up to 3 nights?
Second.
Mhm.
Brian,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Anne says yes,
Yep,
John
Says
says
yes.
yes.
Okay, I'm done moving things.
Business placard.
Oh, no, I'm not done, am I?
Now we got a couple
All
more
right.
business
Yeah, yeah.
placards.
Well, we got a boatload.
We're almost done, hang in there.
Mhm.
Okay,
3 more. 4 more.
business
No,
placard.
it's like 2 more pages.
So what is the current situation with the business placards, Greg?
As it states here. This, as it reads now is how it operates today.
Okay, so there's nothing to change here if we like what number 4 says?
Correct.
And it states on it that it is a business placard, correct?
Yes.
So you see one of those down and, all right, good.
Does that want to carry the same warning about copying?
Yes,
Yes,
I
that
think
would be
all
good.
placards,
All of them should have
Okay.
it, yeah.
all placards.
61.
61.
If we're not changing anything, do we need, we don't need a motion?
No.
Okay. How about same
Visitor?
kind of visitor?
So visitors is different, in my mind. I have a
So-
question for Greg. I brought my visitor placards here, and they are, okay? They have, you know, the numbers, they're assigned to me, has my address on it. It used to say that it could only be used on the designated street. So for example, this says Pine Street, and it used to say, I don't remember the exact verbiage, but it used to say you can only use it on Pine Street. It doesn't say that anymore.
Mhm.
I could take this.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, it does not. Something changed, and I don't know when it changed.
So I think what happened was there was a resident of Summer Street where there's no parking. Requested their visitor placards for people to park on Allen Avenue
There was and there was some on Union Street too.
in Union Street.
There were a couple of very specific situations that Diane was trying to solve, okay? But when that change happened, it opened up a hornet's nest.
Yeah.
Okay, because I can take this, I can give this to I usually give it to my son, I say park on Pine Street right outside. He can take this and go down to Masconomo and walk to the beach. And also what's different here is what we changed at town meeting. We allow any household on a resident-only parking street to get these things. You add all those residents and the fact that they can take these things and park wherever without limitation, except the beach, that is not a recipe for success. So I agree, I appreciate that Diane was trying to solve a particular problem for residents who live on one street, but their guest parking needs to be on a different street. But I don't think this wording is helpful, and I think it's potentially dangerous. And the other thing is I don't agree with the statement here that says households without off-street parking are entitled to 2 visitor placards. No. If you live in a densely populated area, you still might need these guest passes because your driveway may be tiny. And if you want to have your kids over for dinner, you know, they need a place to park.
Should that be placards you have all the time, or?
It's only these have always been enforced during the resident parking season, which is May 1 to October 1.
So I just wonder if that's a whole different
So
approach.
Thanksgiving's no problem.
Well, something changed, okay?
No, I
So
know,
this is
I
a
know.
whole different approach, and
So when I go to Arlington to babysit grandkids,
Yeah.
I go online to Arlington Town Hall, City Hall, and register my car, and he's allowed, I can do that, I forget how many times a year, 10 times a year.
I like it.
I like that too.
I'm just, maybe
Well-
investigate something like that.
So that'll work for Arlington because they don't have a beach, right? The frequency at which our family visits us is probably pretty high during the summer. They don't come to see me during the winter, they come to see me during the summer,
Yeah.
right?
Fair
Yep.
And
Does the thing from Arlington restrict you to any particular area?
Yeah, I have to be on
Right.
this street.
Well, this thing just says Pine Street, or did.
so it used to say, and I don't remember the exact wording, only to be used on the designated street, something that indicated I could only use it on the street where I lived.
So we
But
could
didn't
go
have your
back to
address.
that and then
It did have my address.
Okay,
So
then
that's
they know.
way the officers
All
would
right,
know.
they know,
okay,
is
the
this
Pine Street
reasonable
pass.
distance?
Right.
Right,
We should
yes.
go back to that,
Yeah.
and then if we have
Fine.
a special issue,
Right. She could put
I
on.
think,
You can
I,
deal with the edge cases
Right,
in an edge way and not change the whole
Right.
process to make
right,
this worse.
and similar to Arlington, when I lived in New Jersey, in Glenridge, New Jersey, there was no street parking overnight, anywhere. And it's a fairly thickly settled area.
Yeah.
You could call the police station anytime. You had to give him your car, make and plate number, and your address. And that was it.
Wow.
And then, which is similar to what you did except Arlington, except it was online. And then they know that if they see a car in and around that address, well, they're looking for the plate number, and if they've got that, they understand that car's is expected to be on the
but
street.
we have, and with we don't want to increase calls to.
No, I understand, which is what,
Sometimes people do that, if there's like an incident where something last minute comes up, people will call and tell us.
oh, okay, all right. But it's not,
So we know who's in front of the house.
right.
I don't know that we need to restrict overnight parking for residences, because sometimes I know we'll move our cars into the street and have it sit there overnight if we know we've got a contractor coming in and he's gotta do work, and we don't have much in the way
Oh,
of, so I
years
just,
ago, there wasn't any overnight parking in the winter.
in the winter, yeah. Winter doesn't have problems with
Really?
some.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian.
No, it changed the
Before you
year I
went to the
moved
blue
here.
lights, right?
What?
Before you went to blue light.
Before we went to the light,
Yeah, no,
it
it's
was like December.
2011
Yeah.
it changed.
Oh.
When I first moved here, I moved in March, okay, and I had to park behind Town Hall until the winter parking bans were over. And then the following year, you went to blue lights.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
So as far as visitor, I don't know that we can bring this to closure without
Okay,
Diane's
so,
input.
Yeah, and I don't know how many requests, maybe she'd get one from you. I need more than 2 placards.
my concern is that Diane is at a selectmen's meeting in Wenham, and I'll bet they meet on the first and third Mondays.
No, this is an unusual conflict.
She's been here at other meetings.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think,
So-
I
I think
think,
they meet on Tuesdays.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think because of the election tomorrow, they
Uh,
moved to today.
Okay.
yes.
So maybe we could get a revised version, given the feedback that we've given to you,
Yep.
Greg.
Okay, so,
Long-term parking.
Is Diane wrestling with these issues in Wenham?
Yeah, the beach, the
They don't
boarding
have a
placards
beach.
are
Yeah, not the boating, but I mean the other stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. what they-
She's in a kind of a unique position to be able to say, well,
Compare a little bit.
yeah, compare.
Oh, the long-term parking.
okay, long-term parking. The people who currently use it will be unhappy if we say they can't use it. On the other hand, that's convenient downtown parking, and if we tie up 7 slots, that's 7 people.
Employees or
Yeah.
otherwise.
Mhm.
Because just to have cars sitting there all winter long.
No, I agree.
Yeah, we just don't have the capacity
No.
to accommodate this. I move to eliminate long-term parking in the Norwood North Lawn.
Hmm.
Second.
Do we allow any overnight parking there?
Well, they do
Yeah.
park overnight, the resident
Yeah, the resident.
sticker, it's just
Yeah.
long-term.
So how do we know?
What's long-term?
We would have,
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
That's a very good question.
Thank you.
but overnight, I mean, if the police are going by, I
Yeah,
mean,
we can always tell who's been there and who's moving around. Yeah.
if it's covered with
Yeah.
sap and leaves, it's not
So,
going
what,
anywhere.
more than a week
Okay.
or 2 weeks or something?
Well, let me ask a question, if I may. Do people who live in that densely populated area need that parking? The residents, it's resident parking,
I
right?
gotta believe. If they've got 2 cars, it's tough putting
For overnight
2 cars on
parking.
Washington Street.
And if they got a resident sticker, they can park there anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
This is more for the people that are leaving for a long period of time.
Yeah, especially in the winter with,
Yeah, yeah.
when you have to on, when the blue light goes on, you don't need that spot.
So then the rationale for having the long-term designation, let me rethink this, does this help us or does it hurt us? Would we want to reduce the number of, I pull back my motion until we talk this out.
Unfortunately, it's already been made.
Okay,
and
already
it's
been made, that's right,
seconded,
yeah,
So
it's
we
seconded.
need to,
Vote it down or vote it?
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
so let's talk about it. Yeah, so what are the potential negative side effects of eliminating the long-term parking?
The other thing, I can't think of any. We probably should define long-term parking, and we probably should define a penalty. Do they get a parking ticket every
Parking ticket, yeah,
every day?
they could.
So right now, it's a week, over a week. Anything over 1 week is considered long-term.
and
That's the
on
current.
any car,
Okay.
That's the current practice.
so anything
So-
over a week.
We would say that we would eliminate the long-term spaces. And but you can park there for up to a week.
We just changed voter placard to 3 days, right? The overnight. Does that,
What, are you saying 3 days? For all the people that don't go anywhere for 3
Yeah,
days.
John, do you have on your sheet the number of long-term placards?
Yeah. do
Those
you know
are-
how many people tend to do that?
There's probably 5 to 7 cars at a time, I would say.
That's what I
No,
thought.
that's not a spec.
Constantly 5 to 7 year-round?
I would say.
Okay.
I think that's the number, I think it'll only like 7 spots.
So they're almost always in use for long-term parking.
And that, it already says no storage of vehicles,
Mm-hmm,
but that's kind of what,
that's
we're-
what
That's
it is.
kind
kind of what they're
doing.
doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But if it's registered, got a resident sticker, and got an inspection sticker, and insured, then
It's legal, yeah.
it's legal.
So we have to define it. And all they're gonna do is have somebody
Move it.
move their car for them down to another spot.
Oh, it's gonna be done.
Okay. Let me make another suggestion. I think we're getting less effective.
I think so.
Can we skip over most of this and come back to it next week, next 2 weeks?
Yes.
All right.
And
It'd be
then
nice if you approved the resident
it would be nice if we
streets.
approve the resident streets.
So with the motion on the table, what do we have to do to
We
get rid
have
of that?
to-
Do we have to vote?
Let's vote it down.
Vote it down.
Vote it
Okay.
down.
We have a motion to eliminate the 7 long-term spots at the Norwood parking lot. And it has been recommended that we deny that, so that we can reconsider it at our next meeting, the 18th. John,
No.
Ann says no.
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 Okay.
Oh, I'm doing that.
Are there specific questions on the list of streets and that are resident only? And by the way, thank you very much, this is a very well put together list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Even Cullen.
That was a big,
alphabetized, you've got comments where there need to be comments and there are no blanks, it's great.
yes. I do have a couple of questions.
Okay,
So I just took a look at like Pine Street as an example. Pine and School are where I have the questions.
Mhm.
So Pine Street, it says that it's resident only on both sides, except from number 2 to Bryce.
Right, no parking.
But if you drive down Pine from the new Pine Street fields, there's no resident-only parking sign until you hit the Powder House. There's nothing that says it's resident only.
So we would need to add signage in.
Yeah. Well, you could either add signage or not have it be resident only if it doesn't need to be. Because if you will make that, it can't be being enforced now because there's no signs. And once you make that part of the street resident only, then all these people can get visitor passes. So I'm just wondering, what's the rationale for designating certain streets as residential only? Because those are that's pretty far away from downtown.
It's not very dense at that point either.
Right.
Well,
What's the harm?
except,
I'm just trying to understand, yeah, what the
Well, I think
rationale was.
years ago, when they adopted the resident, I mean, I was not even in this business, but it was to curb beach parking. That was
That's
the
what I
whole-
would have
Yeah.
anticipated. That's a long
Way.
walk to the beach.
Well, I remember as a kid, my street, Bennett Street,
Yeah.
was full of beach parking also.
But I'm talking about Upper Pine.
I know.
So I guess what I'm feeling is, I don't know how big of a problem that part is, because there's no sign saying people can't park there. It can't be being enforced. Why do we need to add that to the list if it's not been enforced, it's not been advertised as resident only? I'm just concerned, especially since we're gonna be giving a whole bunch of people visitor parking stickers or placards. That was question one, and then the other question I had was on school. School Street, when driving south from Essex, the first resident-only sign I saw was in front of Sacred Heart Church.
They went up further by, should be one by Claremont Place, I think, in that area.
Where?
By Windermere Park. I remember signs up there before, but maybe I missed it.
that's other side.
On the other side of Pleasant.
Yeah, okay. If that's resident, and I can understand why that would be resident-only parking, because it's a tiny little street. I'm just saying, there's a dearth of signs there, you never know. I wonder if it's hidden by a tree, because some of one of the resident-only parking signs on Pine Street on the east side, you can't even see it, it's the tree completely covers it.
Cut the tree down.
Yeah, I would love to, no. I drove there today and I didn't see, and I drive on that street all the time, I never would know that was resident only. So my only point here is, again, I feel the signs ought to state what we intend to enforce so that people aren't confused.
Question? Couple of others. So we still have to straighten out Pulaski here. West Pulaski becomes East Pulaski.
Pulaski is, I drove through there, you should take a ride through there, it is
I haven't, not recently.
very confusing.
I've gone down there.
Yeah, and some spots are no parking, some spots are resident parking, and I think it's all due to the, the narrowness of the curb or the U
Okay.
section. So,
So when you say Pulaski West,
yeah, so
Does it
west would be,
switch sides halfway through?
yeah,
It should.
it does.
That's kind of,
It's odd, but if it's signed correctly,
It
oh,
is.
okay, so it's not labeled correctly in here, but it's labeled correctly because it says
No.
west all the
No,
way.
it's west.
It's,
It switches because it's a U.
I know that, so west becomes east.
right.
well, on one side it's the west side, the other side is the west side.
Oh, it's the west side and both, so somewhere in the middle of the U, it changes
It
parking
changes
on the other side.
On the side of the street, I believe. Yeah,
Okay,
like
so it's
going
west all the
south on
time, all right,
128
so
when you're actually
it,
heading
quite
west.
literally, this is it, okay.
Does that help to, it just seems
I don't know
like
why
it
it's
would be
like
so
that, it's just-
confusing.
well, because it's hard to say, okay, on the outside of the U or the inside of the U.
Right.
Yes, okay. So another question, Brook Street, Summer Street to Norwood, north. That includes kind of the part that is going by the field.
Yes.
The tennis courts. And I'm up there maybe once a year where it's crazy down on the field, all the spaces in the parking lot are full. And there are people parking up and down on Brook. And I know they are, more often than not, they're not local people. And I assume that maybe you're aware of this.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, they have a function going on.
So, I mean, even though it's posted resident only, I mean, people from whatever the game of the moment is, they're parking there. Not very long, a couple hours and they're gone. So I mean, I don't have a problem with this, if you don't have a
I
problem.
don't, no, I mean, it's just, you know, you got a function going on there.
Yeah, you do.
It's just as common.
That's the only time it would happen.
Beauty of a small town, right?
Yeah.
Well, the same thing is true for like Sacred Heart Church. It says resident parking in front of it. I'm presuming you don't tag the Essex residents if they're attending mass, so.
Yeah.
Even though they could park around behind.
It gets full.
It does get
Yeah, it
full.
does get full.
And especially since they're trading off winter, summer.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any other,
So did you want to change Pine Street?
I just don't know,
Yeah, I mean,
if it needs to be resident only for a reason, you need to add a bunch of signs in front of people's houses who may not want the signs.
Yeah, I don't think we should have the whole thing.
but then we gotta come up, so the problem is that there's.
Where do you start?
Yeah, where do you start and what are the rules on that section of road? Similar to Old Essex Road, there was
Mhm.
zero
Mhm.
parking rules on
And
that
they're all
road.
the time.
So is it, by the laws of the state, is it assumed you can park somewhere unless there's a sign saying you cannot?
Yeah, I mean, I would say you could definitely park there, but
Right.
if there becomes an issue, then
okay.
how do we enforce it?
Well, I'm just saying, there's no sign at all, best I could tell, coming down Pine Street. So, and I don't see a whole bunch of people parking there.
Yeah,
But
it's just basically people that live there that are parking there.
So I can understand Pine up to Pleasant.
Right.
Because that's walkable,
right.
but maybe not resident, north of.
North of
North of Pleasant.
North of Pleasant.
Pleasant/Walker.
Because I would think there would be people there anyway, possibly visiting the cemetery, I mean,
Or
I don't know.
parking because they can't get into the,
powder,
the,
maybe they want to walk in the powder house.
or walk, or, the new playground.
Yes, yes, right.
But,
That's like two.
yeah, so, and can we agree that Pine Street will be resident both sides from, Central
Central to.
to Pleasant/Walker? And
If
we
there's a
will,
problem, we can always change it.
Because that was one of the concerns people had, is that we weren't just going to be doing.
You're gonna keep the 1,600 feet of no parking
Mhm.
on,
I would, that's
from
right.
number 2, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Wait tomorrow.
Okay.
Do I have a move to approve the resident parking streets? Oh, is there anyone online who has an opinion on this?
We have people left.
Not seeing any hands.
So, I'm sorry, just one more thing, on the School Street, we made a decision on Pleasant. School Street, it says entire length on the west side. So that goes all the way past 128, all the way up to Essex. Are we really gonna enforce Manchester stickers up there?
We haven't passed, I mean, there's nothing.
So,
Has anybody ever parked up there?
well, that's what I'm saying, if there's no signs, we don't enforce. I just think the list ought to match what we actually do.
Just to 128?
What would
Yeah, I know.
you suggest, Chief?
I would say, I'd have to take a look at it again, but I would say, because I know there was a sign passed, like in that Windermere Park area, I'd have to look at that.
But
That's
that's
south of
this
128.
side.
That's,
That's south of 128.
Yeah.
right? So you're talking north of 128?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen a car parked up.
I mean, people park there. they go
Maybe
by
in that
the
little
road.
vegetable stand.
doesn't hurt
occasionally.
anybody if they park there.
But that's Route 1, when does it turn to 133? Because then that's.
Oh, that's in
It's
Essex.
not 133.
That's way up.
That's
I
way
mean, people that are
that's
parked
in
Oh, yeah.
Essex.
north of that are the mountain bikers.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, I
School
think
Street,
North of 128.
north of
So-
128.
Take it off the list.
Yeah, so it's resident only from Central to the 128 interchange.
That makes sense.
Anything else?
Acceptance.
Thank you for bringing that. Do I have a motion to accept this list as amended?
A motion to do that?
Second,
Second,
Brian,
yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Kathy? Patrick, yes.
John says yes.
Okay. We have done liaison updates. We have
All right,
done.
thank you, Sam.
Thank you,
Yes,
thank you,
thanks.
thank you. I would like a quick stretch before the administrator's report, even if it's going to be very short. Or is it?
It'd be short.
I'm still gonna stand up.
120 seconds.
So, yeah, you can stand up, that's fine.
Let's have a stand-up meeting, there we go.
Yeah,
We can.
budget moving along, closing in on finalizing numbers. The Finance Committee, so that'll be ready for your final review. I think the big outstanding issue is how best to manage our upcoming capital needs and bonding. So next meeting, we'll be talking about that at some length. The Finance Committee did approve, at least in concept, having voters consider a new launch service. Need to do some final number crunching on a couple of issues. We'll have this before you in more detail on your next meeting on the 18th. 40B hearing started today. It'll be going the rest of this week. The rest of the week is virtual only. We did post the link for the virtual meeting on the town website this afternoon late, so people can have access to that. And it's 100% cross examination of witnesses based on pre-filed testimony. And SLV has not opted to cross-examine any of the town witnesses, so it's just the town cross-examining SLV witnesses. So that will take place, as I say, the rest of this week. It should wrap up by Friday in terms of the hearing. And then after that, there'll be some final filings, final arguments by both sides, and then we sit and wait. And it could be a long time. Could be over a year easily that we wait for a decision. So that's taking its course.
Were there people there at 9:30 to?
Yes.
There was a pretty big crowd.
There was 60, 70 people there, more maybe,
Yeah.
at the start.
Yep.
And then dropped by 50%
Mhm.
in the afternoon.
Right. Most of them stayed for the morning session and then
At the lunch.
left after the lunch break.
It was hard to hear if you were in the, I was in the back, then move forward. And it was really difficult to hear because they weren't mic'd, so it was.
We had mics for them, but they opted not to use them.
Yep.
So that'll take its course. We'll proceed. So a couple, not half a dozen, but probably more than two, 2 to 4 issues I think are going to be require some education and outreach prior to town meeting. We should be thinking about that. The launch is one of them. Essex Elementary School feasibility study could be another. The Mason Building, a third. The bond, probably a fourth. So I'm thinking of those 4 issues at a minimum are going to require some additional outreach and public discussions. And so we just should be thinking about the timing, holding some information meetings on those topics as we get closer. Tomorrow's the primary. Polls are open from 7 to 8 at the Memorial School, and still looking for candidates for the various elected positions for filing.
Food truck gonna be there? Is the food truck?
Mhm.
Yeah, in the afternoon, yep.
Interested to hear how that goes.
That's on, they'll be on Lincoln Street, I guess.
Yes, they'll be at Lincoln.
I think having public forums is a good way of doing public education.
I was successful with the Rotunda, so.
Mhm.
So far.
No,
Yeah.
so it worked well.
And so perhaps at our next meeting, we ought to discuss scheduling public forums in late March and early April on those 4 issues.
Yes.
Um,
We do something like that for the prior town meeting, for the fall town meeting, we held like information sessions or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they don't all have to be standalone, you could, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes something that's standalone, you attract people who are interested in that issue, and they don't drop off because they're bored. So, I think four separate, hour and a half.
Mhm.
yeah, you can through the calendar and
Yeah.
look at some dates.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be fine.
Okey-dokey.
That's all I needed.
Thank you.
So moved. Motion
All in
to-
favor of adjourning?
Hi.
9:49 going in.
Oh,